Chapter 15:25. The silver Tao diagram of the four symbols did not emit a terrifying aura, but its power was very frightening. It instantly shattered the black-robed old man's super grand magic. Then, in the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of the black-robed old man. Bang! The black-robed old man was sent flying on the spot, and a little bit of blood sprinkled in the void. Such a scene made Lin Tian, whooshing crocodile, and little Taichu stare in unison. They could not help but tremble slightly. Previously, an old drunkard had chopped off the black-robed old man's arm with a sword and sent the black-robed old man flying. At that time, the black-robed old man was not prepared. At this time, the black-robed old man attacked head-on and used his super grand magic, but he was still sent flying by an old drunkard. Blood sprinkled in the void, which really shocked the man and the two beasts. Boom! The divine power vibrated, and the black-robed old man, who was sent flying, stabilized his body. His gaze fell on an old drunkard, and it was chilling. Little brat! His voice was cold as he looked at an old drunkard. From the fluctuation of blood and chi, he could feel that an old drunkard was not old at all. However, he had the strength to defeat his super grand magic in one blow and send him flying. This made his eyes reveal a look of shock, but the coldness and murderous intent became even stronger. Outside his body, more dark light intertwined. Then, another super grand magic pressed down on an old drunkard. An old drunkard looked lazy, and his movements were simple. He still used the four-symbol seal to meet the attack. The four symbols Tao diagram of the four symbols contained an astonishing sealing power. With a swoosh, it shattered the super grand magic that the black-robed old man had used. Then, like before, it streaked across the sky again without slowing down. It was still heading straight for the black-robed old man. This time, the black-robed old man was not sent flying like last time. Black light intertwined in his big hand, and with a slap, he shattered the four symbols Tao diagram. Even so, the powerful sealing strength of the four symbols seal still caused his large hand to tremble violently as a faint light flashed across his eyes. It seems that most of your strength comes from the special ability of this sect, he said coldly. With that, a boom could be heard as divine light of the immortal Tao appeared around him. Furthermore, there was more than one type of immortal Tao fluctuation. 13 immortal Taos? Lin Tian was shocked. After reaching the heavenly immortal realm, one will be able to control even more immortal Tao laws, just like how one can control even more grand Tao laws after reaching the nirvana realm. An old drunkard said. The rumbling sounds continued without end. The black-robed elder moved, immortal Tao laws surging around his body, turning into a vast sea that crushed towards an old drunkard. At the same time, Lin Tian, whooshing crocodile, and little Taichu were also enveloped within, the immortal might extremely astonishing. In the face of the immortal Tao, no matter how strong the divine ability is, it is useless. This person's voice was cold. The 13 immortal Tao laws pressed down together, causing this small world to tremble as if it would be destroyed in the next moment. That's not necessarily true. An old drunkard was still lazy. Facing the black-robed elders' 13 immortal Tao laws, he still activated the four-symbol seal. However, this time, it was not just one layer of the four symbols Tao diagram, but 18 layers in a row. Each layer was more terrifying than the last, as if it could seal a god. This, Lin Tian's face immediately turned pale. Back in the 10 directions heavenly domain, an old drunkard had only deduced 4 layers of the four symbols seal to the 6th layer. Now, after not seeing each other for so many years, it had actually reached 18 layers. How terrifying would the 18 layers of the four symbols seal be? At this moment, just looking at the 18 layers of the Tao diagram of the four symbols made his soul tremble, as if it was about to be annihilated. Whooshing crocodile and little Taichu were also shocked, and they could not help but tremble. The sealing power of the 18 layers of the Tao diagram of the four symbols was too terrifying, and the scene was too spectacular. The black-robed elder was also moved, and he was shocked by this scene. Then, in the next moment, the 13 immortal Tao laws that he activated collided with the 18 layers of the four-symbol seal. Immediately, a monstrous divine radiance erupted, and it was so dazzling that people could not open their eyes. Then, a soft sound was heard, and the 13 immortal Tao laws collapsed one by one, dissipating into nothingness in the blink of an eye. Many of the 18 layers of the four-symbol seal were also shattered, and 13 of them dissipated, leaving only 5 layers. Like 5 silver millstones, they pressed down on the black-robed elder mightily, and the powerful seal aura made the black-robed elder tremble. Bang! There was a muffled sound and blood splashed out. The black-robed old man was once again sent flying. Under the last 5 layers of the Tao diagram of the 4 symbols, most of his body was crushed to pieces. Only his head was left intact. He was shocked and angry. At the same time, Lin Tian, Wuxing Crocodile, and Little Taichu all trembled. Pervert. As perverted as always. Wuxing Crocodile looked at an old drunkard and swallowed hard. Boom! Divine energy surged, and in the distance, the black-robed elder's remaining head bloomed with a blazing light. In the blink of an eye, his body was reformed, and he stared straight at an old drunkard with an extremely strong killing intent. Even though he was far from his peak state right now, he possessed a strength at the mysterious immortal realm at least. However, he'd utilized 13 immortal Daos at this moment, yet they'd been crushed by a single divine ability of a junior. This caused him to be filled with rage and killing intent, and his eyes were like 2 blades of slaughter. Then his gaze fell on Lin Tian, and the light in his eyes became even stronger, like 2 black holes. The primitive emperor token and the primordial pagoda are both mine. His voice was ice cold. In the next moment, with a clang, a battle spear rushed out of his body. Its murderous aura was so sharp that it immediately caused the entire myriad domain's imperial star to tremble, unable to withstand the murderous aura of the battle spear. This is that battle spear. He repaired it? Lin Tian, Wuxing Crocodile, and Little Taichu were all shocked. They had all seen this battle spear before. Back then, it was this battle spear that pierced through the black-robed elder and seriously injured him. It was extremely terrifying. Back then, this battle spear was covered with cracks, as if it would be destroyed with a light bump. But now, those dense cracks had all disappeared and were replaced by divine runes. It had been repaired. They knew that even if the various treasured weapons in the world were not forged with rare divine materials, as long as they were not completely shattered, they could be repaired. However, some time ago, when the black-robed old man took out this battle spear, the battle spear was still covered with cracks. However, not much time had passed since then, and the black-robed old man had actually completely repaired the battle spear that was already covered with cracks. It emitted an even fiercer killing aura, which really shocked them. An old drunkard looked at the battle spear that the black-robed elder took out and narrowed his eyes. A complete ancestral immortal artifact. Ancestral immortal artifact? An immortal king-level treasure weapon? Lin Tian's expression changed. Something like that. It's much stronger than ordinary ancestral immortal artifacts. It's almost at the level of a quasi-real divine weapon. An old drunkard said, "It's already at the level of a quasi-real divine weapon?" Lin Tian was shocked again. The various treasured weapons in the world were divided into ancestral artifacts, soul artifacts, eternal artifacts, genuine immortal artifacts, golden immortal artifacts, mystic immortal artifacts, heaven immortal artifacts, ancestral immortal artifacts, true divine weapons, heavenly divine weapons, ancestral immortal artifacts, saint divine weapons, and emperor divine weapons, which corresponded to the emperor realm, immortal realm, eternal realm, genuine immortal realm, golden immortal realm, mysterious immortal realm, heavenly immortal realm, immortal king realm, true god realm, heavenly god realm, divine king realm, divine emperor realm, and divine emperor realm. Now, the battle spear in front of him was about to reach the level of a quasi-real divine weapon, which really surprised him. A battle spear that was about to reach the level of a quasi-real divine weapon was priceless even to a celestial king expert. At the side, whooshing crocodile and little Taichu were naturally shocked as well. Clang! The sound of the weapon was ear-piercing, and the whole world seemed to be penetrated. The black-robed old man grabbed the battle spear that rushed out of his body, and his aura suddenly rose. In the blink of an eye, it was dozens of times stronger than before. It was as if he had transformed into a peerless war emperor, and the battle spear in his hand seemed to be able to slaughter everything. As he held the battle spear, an illusory image of a sea of blood faintly appeared behind him. Corpses overlapped within it, and malicious spirits howled, causing this entire area to be enveloped in a murderous atmosphere, causing the sky and earth to tremble. Die, all of you? The black-robed old man's voice was cold, and the battle spear in his hand pierced down. With a crisp crack, the void directly shattered, and a space tunnel appeared, which was created for this simple attack. For a moment, Lin Tian, whooshing crocodile, and little Taichu all trembled. Such a strike was too terrifying. You won't die so easily. An old drunkard's lazy and calm voice came out from his mouth, and the 18 layers of the four-symbol seal appeared again, exuding a mighty and shocking sealing aura. Then, the 18 layers of the four-symbol seal trembled, and in the blink of an eye, they merged into one, turning into a Tao diagram of the four symbols that was about 100 feet in diameter. It completely enveloped the space within 100 feet radius, and the sealing power was shocking. With a whoosh, the black-robed old man's attack with the ancestral immortal weapon shattered on the spot, and in the blink of an eye, it disappeared into thin air. The black-robed old man's expression changed for the first time. His attack with the flawless ancestral immortal artifact was blocked just like that. Lin Tian was also shocked. He could clearly feel how terrifying that attack was, but it was still easily blocked by an old drunkard. He looked up at the sky above his head. An old drunkard had combined the 18 layers of the four-symbol seal into one, forming a Tao diagram of the four symbols that was about 100 feet in diameter. The intertwining aura of the Tao diagram was sacred and majestic, and it made his divine soul tremble involuntarily. That's scary. Whooshing crocodile swallowed his saliva again. Little Taichu muttered in a childish voice, looking up at the Tao diagram of the four symbols that was about 100 feet in diameter, and its eyes widened. The Tao diagram of the four symbols that was about 100 feet in diameter intertwined, and silver divine light filled the sky. Its aura was not as fierce as the battle spear in the black-robed old man's hand, but it was incomparably vast and majestic, as if it could really seal all things in the world. The black-robed old man stared at the Tao diagram of the four symbols that was about 100 feet in diameter, and his eyes flashed with a cold light. Then, with a boom, an even more terrifying aura erupted, and his entire person seemed to have merged with the battle spear in his hand. Shatter! Chapter 1526. The sharpness of the spear light was unleashed by the black-robed old man in conjunction with the immortal Tao laws. He pushed the ancestral immortal artifact to the limit. The killing power was too terrifying, as if it wanted to pierce through the entire myriad domain imperial star. In the blink of an eye, the killing light arrived in front of Lin Tian and the others. A peerless pressure appeared, making Lin Tian feel as if his divine soul and body were about to shatter. However, this feeling disappeared in an instant. An old drunkard's body emitted strands of light. There was no powerful fluctuation, but it blocked all the pressure. Buzz! The silver four symbols Tao diagram trembled and condensed from the 18 four-symbol seals. As an old drunkard gently pointed his finger, it swayed and faced the black-robed old man's spear. In the blink of an eye, the two collided, and divine light burst out, and all kinds of lightning arcs appeared. Around them, the space collapsed inch by inch. Spatial turbulence poured out, and the chaotic light wantonly spread in all directions. Boom! The spear light and the Tao diagram collided in the air, neither giving way to the other. The spear light gradually became grand and sharp, and the four symbols Tao diagram shrank, but the power it emitted increased. In the blink of an eye, the two were in a deadlock for dozens of breaths. After a few dozen breaths of time, another violent rumble rang out. The spear light and the four symbols Tao diagram collided for the final time. In the end, they both collapsed and turned into fragments of light that filled the sky. Only an extremely dilapidated space was left there. He blocked that fatal spear attack. That should be that old thing's most powerful battle power, right? The five elements alligator swallowed his saliva again. It seems so. Lin Tiandao looked at the black-robed old man opposite him. At this moment, the black-robed old man's gaze fell on an old drunkard. There was shock, and the coldness in his eyes became even stronger. "Brat!" His voice was bone-chilling, and he stared at an old drunkard. "I want to see how many times you can block it." As soon as he finished speaking, a bang resounded as the aura emanating from his body became incomparably fierce like before. Moreover, this time he held the ancestral immortal artifact in his hand as he moved. He became one with the spear and charged towards an old drunkard with the spear in hand. At the same time, this unparalleled spearhead enveloped Lin Tian, whooshing crocodile, and little Taichu. An old drunkard raised his hand and tapped lightly in the air. Buzz! The void trembled and silver light manifested. 18 silver Tao diagrams of the four divisions silently appeared in different positions, directly trapping the black-robed old man within. In an instant, the black-robed old man stopped in his tracks, and his attack was interrupted. Looking at the 18 Tao diagrams of the four divisions, his body trembled. The only Tao diagram that they formed didn't really shatter just now. He stared at an old drunkard in shock and anger. "You tricked me?" At this moment, the 18 Tao diagrams of the four divisions connected with each other with divine light, directly forming a huge array that sealed every inch of space around him. It also made it difficult for him to circulate the divine power in his body. At this moment, it was as if he had fallen into an invisible swamp, and it was very difficult for him to move. "I didn't say that it was shattered." "You think so?" An old drunkard said lazily. As soon as he finished speaking, the 18 Tao diagrams of the four divisions emitted a buzzing sound, and the power of annihilation surged. The black-robed old man immediately trembled, and the divine power outside his body suddenly became chaotic. "Damn it!" The black-robed old man roared angrily, and his divine power vibrated. The immortal precepts were activated, and the battle spear in his hand swept out, striking out a terrifying killing light toward the 18 Tao diagrams of the four divisions. He wanted to shatter the Tao diagrams of the four divisions and walk out of here. With a rumble, as his killing spear light and immortal precepts were activated, the 18 Tao diagrams trembled together. However, the 18 Tao diagrams of the four divisions were very tough. Although they trembled violently under the black-robed old man's killing spear light and immortal precepts, they were very difficult to shatter. During this process, the annihilation formed by the 18 Tao diagrams continued to press toward the center, causing the black-robed old man to tremble violently from time to time, and blood would drift out of his body. Lin Tian looked at this scene, and his eyes could not help but flicker. Just now, whether it was him, whooshing crocodile, little Taichu, or the black-robed old man, they all thought that an old drunkard's 18 Tao diagrams of the four divisions would shatter together with the black-robed old man's killing spear light when it collided with the black-robed old man's killing spear light. In fact, at that time, the merged Tao diagram of the four divisions had indeed shattered. However, what he did not expect was that at that time, the collapse did not truly shatter and disappear, but instead turned into 18 Tao diagrams again. The 18 Tao diagrams that had turned back into 18 Tao diagrams did not immediately appear. Instead, in a form that they could not see, they surrounded the black-robed old man silently. At this moment, they appeared and connected with each other, directly forming a cage that sealed the heaven and earth, trapping the incomparably powerful black-robed old man. Beside him, whooshing crocodile and little Taichu were also shocked, and their eyes were full of shock. How terrifying! Whooshing crocodile's eyes widened. The same technique, Lin Tian only knows how to use it head-on, but the old pervert can use it so wonderfully every time. Old pervert was its definition of an old drunkard. An old drunkard knew the four-symbol seal, and so did Lin Tian. However, over the years, it saw that every time Lin Tian used the four-symbol seal, it was only to block some attacks, and people who attacked it head-on. Moreover, whether it was the method of blocking or the method of attacking, it was extremely simple and direct. However, an old drunkard always used the four-symbol seal in an extremely stunning manner. Boom! Billowing divine power vibrated, and the sky and earth shook together. The 18 Tao diagrams of the four divisions trapped the black-robed old man, and the terrifying power of annihilation intertwined, constantly pressing down on the black-robed old man, causing the black-robed old man's body to tremble continuously. His divine power became more and more chaotic, and more blood splattered out. "Break for me!" the black-robed old man roared, and the immortal Tao law and the ancestral immortal weapon spear fused together. Under the explosive divine power, he finally shattered the 18 Tao diagrams of the four divisions and broke free. However, it was also at this time that the fragments of the 18 Tao diagrams of the four divisions vibrated and shot toward the black-robed old man like blades of light. In the blink of an eye, they arrived in front of the black-robed old man. Blood splattered as the fragments of the 18 Tao diagrams of the four divisions penetrated the black-robed old man's body. Only the ancestral immortal weapon spear was preserved, and it fell out of his hand and flew far away. An old drunkard narrowed his eyes and reached out with his right hand. He transformed into a giant hand of divine power and grabbed the ancestral immortal weapon spear in his hand. "Let go!" The black-robed old man's body was shattered, but his spirit was not. Seeing this scene, he was furious. In the blink of an eye, he reformed his body and turned into a beam of light that rushed toward the ancestral immortal weapon spear in an old drunkard's hand. Moreover, he shook his own divine soul, causing a divine soul imprint on the battle spear to emit light. The entire battle spear seemed to have come to life, possessing its own consciousness. It shook on its own, filling the sky with killing light as it struggled free from the old drunkard's large hands. An old drunkard was calm. The giant hand of divine light shook slightly, and a mini Tao diagram of the four divisions appeared. It whizzed into the ancestral immortal weapon spear, causing the spear to shake violently and the spirit mark on it to shatter. The black-robed old man's body trembled violently, and a mouthful of blood spilled out of his mouth. That spirit mark was the original spirit mark he had left on the spear. Now that it was destroyed, he suffered some backlash. A flawless ancestral immortal weapon has been taken. Whooshing crocodile's eyes glowed. Lin Tian was also shocked. An ancestral immortal artifact that was on the verge of becoming a quasi-true immortal artifact had been snatched from the black-robed old man so easily. "Give it back!" The black-robed old man roared and moved even faster. The immortal Tao law and powerful divine energy vibrated together as he rushed toward the ancestral immortal weapon spear in an old drunkard's hand. This spear was his most powerful precious weapon. How could he let it be taken away by others? An old drunkard's expression did not change. He used the giant hand of divine energy to grab the ancestral immortal weapon spear and shook it slightly. Suddenly, the spear emitted a dazzling light. A beam of divine light shot out from the spear and rushed toward the black-robed old man like lightning. "You puff!" A mist of blood splattered. The black-robed old man's chest was penetrated, and then he was torn apart on the spot. His spirit was almost shattered. "Ah!" The black-robed old man roared. His body reformed, and he rushed toward an old drunkard again to take back the ancestral immortal weapon spear. Clang! An old drunkard shook the spear in his hand. The sound of the weapon was ear-piercing, and another beam of spear light shot forward. With a puff, just like before, the black-robed old man took the blow head-on. His powerful body exploded again, and blood splattered all over the sky. "Damn it!" The black-robed old man's spirit was immortal. He let out a violent roar, and his spirit shook as he quickly reformed his shattered body. An old drunkard grabbed the ancestral immortal weapon spear. The tip of the spear glowed with silver light, and a silver Tao diagram of the 4 divisions appeared. It immediately covered the black-robed old man's spirit, along with his flesh and bones, and a sealing power surged. Suddenly, the black-robed old man's angry roar turned into a scream of pain. His spirit struggled violently under the Tao diagram of the 4 divisions. However, he could not break free. The sealing power of the 4 divisions was constantly destroying his flesh, bones, and spirit. This old man is finished? An old drunkard stared at Tian Tian. Lin Tian's eyes flickered. It seemed that this terrifying black-robed old man was really finished. Buzz! The seal of the 4 divisions intertwined with a powerful sealing power. The black-robed old man's spirit and broken body were enveloped in it, and his screams gradually became louder. Damn it! Damn it! I won't let you go! An angry roar came from the Tao diagram of the 4 divisions. The next moment, with a boom, a ball of dazzling divine light burst out from the black-robed old man's spirit. It was mixed with a terrifying power, and it opened the Tao diagram of the 4 divisions, causing dense cracks to appear in the void. Then, a weak soul light rushed out from the Tao diagram of the 4 divisions. It whizzed into one of the cracks and disappeared in the blink of an eye. He destroyed half of his spirit and escaped pretty quickly. Chapter 15:27. Hearing an old drunkard's words, Lin Tianyi was shocked. He destroyed half of his own spirit and escaped? An old drunkard nodded and said, yes. This shocked Lin Tian, Wuxing Crocodile, and Lil Taichu. An old drunkard's casual attack had robbed the powerful black-robed old man of his flawless ancestral immortal weapon, and then he was forced to destroy half of his own spirit to escape. This was really a little scary. It's a pity. If only we could kill him. Keeping him alive is really a big problem. Lin Tiandao, that black-robed old man, was at the Immortal King realm, and he was coveting the Primitive Emperor token and the Immortal Emperor pagoda. Once he recovered, he would definitely come looking for him again. For Lin Tianyi, he was like a hidden time bomb. What's a pity? What's there to be afraid of? Become stronger and then solve it yourself. An old drunkard knocked him on the head. As he spoke, his body suddenly shook, and some parts of his body became transparent. This shocked Lin Tian, Wuxing Crocodile, and Lil Taichu. Old man, what's wrong with you? Lin Tian asked anxiously. It's nothing. It's just a strand of divine thought. Its power is almost exhausted. An old drunkard said. As soon as he said this, Lin Tian, Wuxing Crocodile, and Little Taichu all turned pale and could not help but shudder. Just a strand of divine thought? It was just a strand of divine thought, but it easily took away the flawless ancestral immortal weapon from that terrifying black-robed old man, and forced that terrifying black-robed old man to destroy half of his own spirit to escape. How terrifying was that? Pervert. This is simply... Wuxing Crocodile swallowed hard again. Looking at an old drunkard at this time, his eyes almost popped out. Lin Tian's eyes were full of shock. At this time, he suddenly remembered that the scene in front of him was really familiar. Thinking back to the past, when his cultivation was still very weak, he was hunted down in the dark forest of the First Heaven. The Violet Fairy had left a strand of divine sense in his body and saved him. After that, her body gradually faded away. Old man, what cultivation level have you reached now? Don't tell me. You have reached the immortal realm? He looked at an old drunkard and asked. If a strand of divine thought had such power, it was hard for him to imagine how terrifying the old drunkard's true body was. An old drunkard squinting his eyes narrowed. Almost? What do you mean? Are you already in the divine realm? Can't you be more direct? Lin Tian was dissatisfied. This old man was always like this. An old drunkard laughed and patted Lin Tian's shoulder. Guess. Lin Tian. He looked at an old drunkard and was too lazy to guess an old drunkard's cultivation level. Anyway, He knew that an old drunkard was very powerful. He paused, looked at an old drunkard, and asked, "By the way, old drunkard, I have a question about Tao." As he spoke, he propped up his nameless Tao law, and strands of Tao light intertwined. "Do you know what Tao this is?" It had been a long time since he comprehended and controlled the nameless Tao law in his body, but he still did not know what Tao it was. Now that he saw an old drunkard again, he felt that an old drunkard might know what Tao it was. Looking at the Tao light outside Lin Tian's body, an old drunkard's eyes flickered with a faint light. Lin Tian naturally saw the faint light in an old drunkard's eyes and was immediately moved. Obviously, an old drunkard knew what Tao it was. Beside him, the whooshing crocodile and little Taichu were also moved. From an old drunkard's eyes, they could clearly see that an old drunkard knew what Tao Lin Tian's nameless Tao law was. This surprised them. So far, among the many powerful beings they had met, an old drunkard seemed to be the only one who could see what Tao Lin Tian's nameless Tao law was. "You know?" Lin Tian asked an old drunkard. Although he could see that an old drunkard really knew what Tao's nameless Tao law was, he could not help but ask. "I know, but I won't tell you. Figure it out yourself." An old drunkard said. Lin Tian furrowed his brows. "Why?" An old drunkard reached out and rubbed Lin Tian's head. He said with a smile, "Even if I tell you, you only know its name. It won't do you any good. Only when you figure out what it is can you barely reach the perfection stage. However, this Tao repels all other Taos. Because of it, I couldn't control other great Taos in the past. It didn't affect me much, but now, I'm at the peak of the eternal realm. I need to draw the immortal Tao's origin seal into my body to condense celestial core power. But this Tao repels even the immortal Tao. I can't even step into the half-step genuine immortal realm." Lin Tiandao was a little depressed. An old drunkard laughed and knocked Lin Tiani. "It repels other Taos because it's very powerful, but the root cause is that you don't have enough control over it. You haven't even crossed the most basic threshold." "My reason?" Lin Tiani was stunned. "Of course it's because of you. Otherwise, since you've comprehended the Tao on your own, how could it not be controlled by your own will and reject others as you please?" The old drunkard looked at Lin Tian and said, "You haven't spent much time to truly comprehend it, right?" Lin Tian was a little embarrassed. In fact, since he had mastered the nameless Tao law, he had comprehended this Tao many times. However, the focus of his comprehension each time was to figure out what this Tao law was, and he rarely comprehended and understood the Tao law itself. At this time, when an old drunkard pointed out the root cause of the problem, he suddenly became a little embarrassed. An old drunkard patted his head with a smile. "If you don't use too much power, this wisp of divine consciousness can last for about 7 days. I'll accompany you to comprehend the Tao." "Really?" Lin Tian was overjoyed. The old drunkard was able to comprehend the Tao with him, so he was naturally happy. This was an extremely rare thing. "Of course, when have I ever lied to you?" An old drunkard said with a smile. An old drunkard then glanced in the southeast direction. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared with Lin Tian, whooshing crocodile, and little Taichu. The next moment, they appeared in a canyon in a vast forest. The canyon was not small, but it was very quiet. Lin Tian, whooshing crocodile, and little Taichu were shocked again. An old drunkard was only a wisp of divine consciousness now, but he could bring them to change positions silently at the same time. It was as if he was teleporting. "Let's do it here," an old drunkard said. He waved his hand and cast a faint light that completely enveloped the canyon. External forces could not interfere with it. Lin Tian nodded and immediately sat cross-legged on a big rock. He directly activated his nameless Tao law. For a moment, wisps of Tao radiance surrounded the area. It was vast and boundless. An old drunkard smiled faintly and stood quietly at the side. Tao is the law of the operation of all things in the world. It is also the trajectory or the origin of all things. The air is formed by itself without man. The grass and trees are born by themselves without man. The water flows by itself without man. and the stars are arranged by themselves without man. Everything is Tao. Its original form is the 0 point of the world. It is neither alive nor dead, shapeless and formless, without beginning or end, and includes everything. It is big and small and has no inside. It changes as it passes, and it is the same since time immemorial. It has no name at the beginning, and it encompasses all things. This is Tao. An old drunkard stood beside Lin Tian. His voice was calm, but it was like the sound of Tao reverberating in the air. Lin Tian could not help but tremble slightly. In an instant, the Tao radiance outside his body naturally became more intense. This shocked him. He forced himself to calm down and seriously comprehended every word of an old drunkard. Then, as he seriously comprehended an old drunkard's words, the Tao radiance outside his body suddenly became even more shocking. The fluctuations of Tao became even more vast and boundless. Almost at the same time, Wuxing Crocodile and Little Taichu, who were not far away, both shook. Their eyes were filled with shock. Then they could not help but activate their ancient scriptures and Tao laws. They listened to an old drunkard's voice and comprehended Tao together. Then, in the blink of an eye, the Tao radiance outside their bodies became even more extraordinary, just like Lin Tian's. 3 different Taos. The power of their Taos increased rapidly at this moment. An old drunkard smiled faintly. He was still standing quietly in the same spot. Then he spoke in a calm voice that was filled with the sound of Tao. Tao gives birth to all things in the world. It gives birth to sand and rocks. It gives birth to grass and trees. It gives birth to yin and yang. It gives birth to heaven and earth. It gives birth to heaven and earth. Lin Tian, Wuxing Crocodile, and Little Taichu listened to this voice. They felt as if they were swimming in an ocean of Tao. They felt that every corner of their bodies was surrounded by Tao. Their Tao became more and more condensed and skillful. Buzz! Outside Lin Tian's body, the golden divine light and the nameless Tao radiance became brighter and brighter. However, they were not glaring and were very peaceful. In the next moment, his divine telekinesis suddenly came to the mysterious world where he had comprehended the nameless Tao law. The mountains and rivers were the same, the sky was blue, and the aura of Tao surrounded the entire world. The entire world was gradually changing. Soon, the mountains and rivers became brighter, the sky became bluer, and the plants became stronger. His divine telekinesis stayed in the world and watched the changes in the mountains and rivers. He watched as some of the living beings ran around. He silently merged with the world and integrated himself into it. He tried his best to integrate his divine telekinesis into this illusory world and truly comprehend the Tao within it. Suddenly, the Tao radiance outside his body became denser, more vast, and more expansive. Tao is Tao. The nameless Tao is also Tao. Is my Tao, he muttered to himself. At this moment, he no longer cared about what Tao his Tao was. It did not matter if he did not know its name. He only needed to understand it and then understand it deeply. That was enough. He integrated his divine telekinesis into the nameless Tao law. His divine soul trembled slightly, and strands of soul power intertwined. Ever since he comprehended this Tao, this was the first time he wholeheartedly comprehended this Tao. He wanted to understand this Tao. Just like that, 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. 3 days later, on this day, the Tao radiance outside his body had become extremely dense. It almost enveloped the entire canyon in this Tao radiance. An extremely vast Tao rhyme filled every corner of the canyon. Chapter 1528. The immortal Taos circled around Lin Tian like fish swimming around him. They were very smooth, and their Tao Qi was very dense. Lin Tian could not help but open his eyes. There was a slight flicker in his eyes. Much better than before? An old drunkard's voice sounded beside him with a faint smile. Lin Tian nodded. Much better. Now, that Tao doesn't repel other Taos, right? An old drunkard asked. Not anymore. Lin Tian on Tao. Looking at the old drunkard standing next to him, he was a bit shocked. For the past 3 days, the old drunkard had been calmly preaching the Tao. His voice was like the divine voice of the Tao, causing his familiarity with the Tao in his body to increase exponentially. 3 days. In just 3 days, he felt that his control of the Tao in his body was a few hundred times stronger than before. Then condense the first immortal core power. With your current cultivation base, it should be enough, an old drunkard said. Lin Tian nodded. Without hesitation, he closed his eyes and activated the Heart Sutra of Sunday. Golden light surrounded his body. He began to explore the immortal Taos around him. Soon he sensed one immortal Tao after another. Then, he directly found an immortal Tao that was filled with the power of lightning. It was the lightning immortal Tao. Not long ago, he had already comprehended some of this immortal Tao and could draw out the simplest origin Tao seal of the lightning immortal Tao. Naturally, he quickly found it now. He entered this lightning immortal Tao with his divine consciousness and directly drew out a wisp of the lightning immortal Tao seal of the lightning immortal Tao. He slowly pulled it into his body. During this process, he was extremely cautious as he guided the thunder immortal way origin Tao seal into his flesh and blood to refine it. However, this time, the nameless Tao law in his body did not react as he had sensed. It did not expel the thunder immortal way origin Tao seal that had fused with his flesh and blood. As expected, there's no problem. A hint of joy flashed across his eyes. After that, he calmed down and leveled his Tao heart, and he seriously condensed and guided the strand of lightning quintessence Tao seal within his body. For a time, his flesh and blood were intertwined with the power of lightning, and there were even strands of lightning arcs appearing on the surface of his body. Just like that, time quickly passed. In the blink of an eye, another 2 days had passed. The origin Tao seal of the thunder immortal way that he had drawn into his body was refined by his own divine power. At this moment, it had turned into a fist-sized source of lightning beside his life origin. Success! Joy flashed in his eyes. The source of the lightning was the celestial essence of the first lightning immortal Tao he had condensed. Boom! An astonishing aura spread out from his body. Faint waves of true immortal Qi intertwined, and faint immortal Tao laws spread out. At this moment, the first Thunderbolt celestial core power was formed. His cultivation base rose from the eternal pinnacle to the half-step true immortal realm. Powerful auras intertwined around him, and in the next moment, he opened his eyes again. Half-step true immortal, he muttered to himself in his heart, and a glimmer of light flashed across his eyes. At this moment, he could feel the changes in himself. Whether it was his divine power, physique, or soul, they were all much stronger. Most importantly, at this moment, he had an additional immortal charm, as if he was an immortal. Oh, not bad. An old drunkard smiled. With his strength, he could naturally see that although Lin Tian had only condensed the first Thunderbolt celestial core power, he was already invincible in the half-step true immortal realm. Ordinary half-step true immortals were no match for him. Of course, not bad. Don't you know who your disciple is? Lin Tian on Dao. An old drunkard directly gave him a knock on the head and scolded jokingly. Don't be so smug. At this moment, not far away, the Tao radiance outside the bodies of Whooshing Crocodile and Little Taichu had reached an extremely high concentration. Then in the next moment, the two opened their eyes one after another. So comfortable. Whooshing Crocodile's eyes were very bright. After listening to an old drunkard's preaching, it and Little Taichu comprehended the Tao on the side. In just a few days, its control of the 5 elements immortal Tao had become much more profound. It was much stronger than before and was about to successfully condense the second Thunderbolt celestial core power. Little Taichu's big watery eyes were very bright. It called out in a childish voice. Naturally, it had gained a lot. Lin Tian glanced at them, then looked at an old drunkard and asked, "Where are you and Master's wife now?" An old drunkard had left the 10 Directions Heaven Domain with Qing Xian for many years. They hadn't returned to the 10 Directions Heaven Domain. He was very curious to know where an old drunkard and Qing Xian were now. Oh, somewhere very far away. An old drunkard smiled and said, "Don't worry, everything is fine." As he said this, his body became more transparent for a moment. The distance of the divine thought is too far. There's not much time left. He muttered to himself, then looked at Lin Tian and said with a smile, "With your current cultivation, there are not many people in the starry sky who can be your opponent. How about going to the immortal domain to gain experience?" Hearing an old drunkard's words, Lin Tian was slightly surprised. At the same time, Wuxing Crocodile and Little Taichu were also moved. "You can open the passage to the immortal domain?" Lin Tian asked. However, in the next moment, he felt that his question was a little redundant. An old drunkard was only a strand of divine thought, but he was no match for the terrifying black-robed old man and had to destroy half of his divine soul to escape. Therefore, it was not difficult for an old drunkard's strand of divine thought to tear open the passage to the immortal domain. "It's no big deal," an old drunkard said. As he spoke, he flicked his finger, and a faint light flew out. It instantly shattered the great void, and a huge void passage appeared. It ran all the way to the top of the sky, and there was no end in sight. There was only a faint aura of the immortal path coming from it. This is... Lin Tian was moved. He was all too familiar with this aura. Back then, on Mount Tai on Earth, in the big crack that once connected Earth and the immortal domain, he had felt this aura at the end of the big crack. It was the unique aura of the immortal domain. This void passage leads to the immortal domain? He was shocked. At the same time, Wuxing Crocodile and Little Taichu, who were next to him, also widened their eyes. "This is the passage to the immortal domain." Wuxing Crocodile was surprised and pleasantly surprised. After all, the immortal domain was a place full of immortal opportunities and divine treasures. It yearned for that world very much. In fact, it was not the only one yearning for it. In the starry sky, 99% of people hoped to enter the immortal domain. Although the battles there were far more intense and cruel than those in the starry sky, once one entered that world, the speed and space of growth were far from comparable to those in the starry sky. "Do you want to go?" an old drunkard asked. Lin Tian looked at the passage to the immortal domain opened by an old drunkard, and his eyes flashed. He paused and said, "Let's go." Just as an old drunkard said, there were indeed very few people in this starry sky who could be his opponent now. He could definitely be called a giant in the starry sky now. In this way, if he continued to stay in such an environment, he would not feel any pressure. However, without pressure, it was inevitable that he would slack off on his cultivation for a long time, which was not good for him. Moreover, the seven-colored divine sword in his sea of consciousness still lacked too many sword soul fragments. He was certain that there would definitely be sword soul fragments in the immortal domain. As such, he naturally had to go to the immortal domain to train and find the sword soul fragments in the immortal domain. He was sure that there would be a lot of sword soul fragments in the immortal domain. Thinking of this, he suddenly looked at an old drunkard and asked, "That old man, before you go to the immortal domain, can you help me send some things from this place back to the 10 Directions Heaven domain?" Over the years, he had traveled to the Eternity Ancient Star and the Myriad Realms Imperial Star and obtained many treasures. After entering the immortal domain, he would not know how many years he would have to train. Therefore, before that, he hoped to send these treasures back to the 10 Directions Heaven domain and give them to GU and the others. With the treasures he had collected over the years, it would be enough for GU and the others to at least enter the Eternal Realm and become immortal. In this way, he would not have to worry too much about GU and the others when he entered the immortal domain. Moreover, with the treasures he had collected, the battle strength of the immortal court would also increase by countless times. He looked at an old drunkard and believed that with an old drunkard's current strength, he would be able to send the treasures he had collected to the 10 Directions Heaven domain with powerful means. "Take it out," an old drunkard said. Hearing this, Lin Tianwei was overjoyed. From an old drunkard's expression and words, he could guess that an old drunkard would be able to do such a thing. He immediately took out a small spatial jade bottle filled with all kinds of treasures. There were a frightening number of Ling Jing, many Baodan, many heavenly materials and earthly treasures, a large number of star stones, and some very powerful divine abilities and secret arts. Among the true immortal weapons he had obtained, he kept only the immortal sword Xian Luo for himself. The rest were all stored in the small jade bottle. "That's all," he said. An old drunkard took the small jade bottle and wrapped it with divine power. Then he opened a spatial tunnel and sent the small jade bottle wrapped in divine power into it. It's impossible to send an object across the 10 directions heaven domain immediately. It will take about half a year to travel from this place to the 10 directions heaven domain. Half a year later, those girls will receive it and know that it was you who sent it back. An old drunkard said and set up a special divine power outside the small jade bottle. The small jade bottle would appear directly in front of Jiyu by Chiu and the other girls in the 10 directions heaven domain through the spatial tunnel. Then, a special image would appear so that Jiyu and the others would know who sent the small jade bottle. Lin Tianwei nodded. An old drunkard looked at him with a faint, lazy smile. He waved his right hand and took out a battle spear. This was the same spear he had taken from the black-robed old man. It was a flawless ancestral immortal weapon, an immortal king grade precious weapon. Moreover, it was one of the top immortal king grade precious weapons, almost reaching the category of quasi-true divine weapons. He took out the spear and sent a faint light into the spear from his palm. Then, he threw the spear to Lin Tianwei. Lin Tian received the battle spear and immediately felt his hand become heavy. His body trembled as he felt as if he was holding onto a star. It was so heavy that it was frightening. Even with his current physique, he almost couldn't hold it firmly. Chapter 15:29. Lin Tian was naturally aware of old drunkard's good intentions. Compared to his current cultivation level, a peak ancestral immortal artifact battle spear was truly too high in quality. If he could use it without any restrictions, it would more or less cause him to become somewhat reliant on it. This was ultimately not a good thing for him. This was because with dependence, he would lack a sense of danger, and without a sense of danger, he would not feel any pressure. Without pressure, his motivation to cultivate would naturally decrease. As a result, he would slack off on his cultivation. Understood? He smiled and put the battle spear back into his body. An old drunkard's body became even fainter at this time. He rubbed Lin Tian's head, and a faint light entered Lin Tian's sea of consciousness. It was the cultivation method of the 18 seals of the 4 symbols. He smiled and said, "Okay, go." Lin Tian nodded and looked at the passage that an old drunkard opened to the immortal domain. The aura of the immortal path was constantly rushing out from it. "Then we're going?" he said to an old drunkard. An old drunkard smiled and nodded. Lin Tian also grinned. He took one last look at an old drunkard, then led Whooshing Crocodile and Little Taichu directly into the void passage opened by an old drunkard. The next moment, they disappeared into it, turning into a ball of light and rushing toward the sky. The next moment, the void passage opened by an old drunkard distorted slightly and then dissipated. An old drunkard looked at the sky with a calm and lazy smile on his face. Then, he silently disappeared on the spot. In the pitch-black space, Lin Tian, Whooshing Crocodile, and Little Taichu all felt dizzy. They could not see anything in the void, but there was a very shocking pressure in every corner of the space, which made it seem somewhat oppressive. Being in this place, they all felt a little uncomfortable, but they did not dare to move at will. After all, they were now in the void passage that led to the immortal domain. If they moved recklessly and something strange happened, they would definitely be in big trouble. Just like that, after an unknown period of time, the space around them trembled slightly and the pressure lessened. Then, in the next moment, a trace of light appeared in front of them, and a strong force came from the side. Bang, 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 the man and the 2 beasts were knocked out of the void. Roar! Roar! The deafening roar of the beasts resounded in their ears. It was like the roar of thunder, causing the man and the 2 beasts to tremble. They broke free from the boundless void. As far as the eye could see, The environment they were in now was a vast primeval forest. The ancient trees were terrifyingly thick, as if they were truly towering trees. Moreover, most of the ancient trees were unfamiliar to them. They emitted an extremely dense aura of life, as if they were tree fairies. Moreover, the spiritual chi in the surrounding air was abnormally dense. Perhaps it could no longer be simply called spiritual chi. Although it was similar to spiritual chi, its quality clearly did not belong to the same level. This kind of fluctuation was countless times stronger than spiritual chi. Moreover, there was an extremely clear celestial aura mixed within. Just by standing there and sensing the special spiritual chi around them, they felt comfortable all over, and the pores on their bodies seemed to be about to open up. Then they stood there and looked into the distance. Soon, they saw extremely majestic, immortal mountains. Each of them was terrifyingly large, tens of thousands of times taller than the most majestic divine mountain on the myriad domains imperial planet. Further away, they saw a vast and boundless immortal river. Waves surged on the surface of the river, making rumbling noises. The natural force of the waves seemed to be able to shatter an eternal realm expert. This is the immortal domain? Lin Tian's eyelids twitched. The whooshing crocodile and the little Taichu also widened their eyes. Obviously, they were also shocked by this scene. It was too extraordinary. Roar! A beast roar sounded, and a three-tailed bear with barbs all over its body rushed out. Its demonic eyes were cold, and it pounced on the man and the two beasts. In an instant, the ground around them shook, and more than 10 demonic beasts of different forms rushed out in succession. All of them had extremely shocking demonic chi intertwined around their bodies. All of them looked at the man and the two beasts and pounced on them. They're all half-step true immortals. Lin Tian was shocked. The weakest of these demonic beasts was comparable to a half-step true immortal who had condensed one strand of immortal core power. The strongest among them was comparable to a half-step true immortal who had condensed 8 strands of immortal core power. They were only one strand away from reaching the true immortal level. The whooshing crocodile and the little Taichu both widened their eyes. In this ancient forest, more than 10 demonic beasts had casually rushed out, and the weakest of them was a half-step true immortal beast with one strand of immortal core power. This really shocked them. The demonic beasts rushed over with a rumble. In the blink of an eye, they had arrived in front of them, bringing up waves of sand and dust. Lin Tian immediately attacked, waving his iron fist to meet the demonic beasts. At the same time, the whooshing crocodile and the little Taichu also attacked, drawing out powerful demonic lights and bombarding them. Boom! Boom! The divine powers of the man and the two demonic beasts were shocking. They bombarded the demonic beasts that were pouncing on them, causing a series of violent explosions. Then, they were surprised to find that each of these demonic beasts was shockingly powerful. They were far more powerful than the half-step true immortals they had encountered in the starry sky. With their powerful strength, they could have defeated a group of demonic beasts of this level in the starry sky in the blink of an eye. However, at this time, they were in a temporary stalemate with these demonic beasts. Moreover, they discovered another thing. With the half-step true immortal level power that they had just unleashed, if they were in the starry sky, the surrounding void would have been distorted and shattered, unable to withstand such a powerful impact. However, in this place, the half-step true immortal level divine power that they had unleashed did not affect the surrounding void at all. Not to mention shattering the surrounding void. There was not even a trace of a ripple or distortion. Roars! The demonic beasts roared, each of them emitting a terrifying demonic chi. Their demonic bodies were frighteningly huge, and their strength was unparalleled. They were like the most primitive and ancient wild beasts. Lin Tian swung his fist to meet these half-step true immortal-level demonic beasts. At this time, he could not help but become serious. The strength of his punch increased, and the tip of his fist faintly intertwined with lightning arcs. His aura was very intimidating. Boom! He restrained the strongest of the demonic beasts and sent it flying with a punch, causing a large amount of demonic blood to splatter everywhere. Then he continued to swing his fist and sent a few more powerful demonic beasts flying. At the same time, Whooshing Crocodile and Little Taichu displayed their powerful divine power and sent several powerful demonic beasts flying each. This is too extraordinary. Whooshing Crocodile stared with wide eyes. Each of the demonic beasts was shockingly powerful. They were much more powerful than the demonic beasts and humans of the same level in the starry sky. Indeed, Lin Tiandao. These demonic beasts were indeed extraordinary. Each and every one of them was very powerful. However, Whooshing Crocodile and Little Taichu were obviously even more extraordinary, especially himself. Although he had only condensed his first celestial core power, he was basically invincible under the true immortal realm. Therefore, the demonic beasts were naturally dealt with at this time. They were all sent flying, and none of them charged at them again. Obviously, these demonic beasts were very sensitive. At this time, they also felt that Lin Tian and the others were extraordinary. Let's go. Lin Tian glanced at these demonic beasts and called out to Whooshing Crocodile and Little Taichu to leave. Soon, they walked far away from their previous position. Roar! This primitive ancient forest was extremely vast. Ancient trees towered into the sky. Various demonic beasts emerged endlessly in this forest. As they walked, they kept encountering demonic beasts one after another. Moreover, these demonic beasts were all extraordinary. The weakest one was comparable to a human cultivator at the peak of the eternal realm. Moreover, there were very few of them. Most of them were at the half-step true immortal realm. During this process, they even encountered several true immortal realm demonic beasts. The aura around their bodies was so strong that it was terrifying. They almost died several times. This is the legendary celestial realm? In this random, barren mountain and ancient forest, demonic beasts at the half-step true immortal realm are everywhere. There are also quite a few true immortal realm demonic beasts. This is simply Whooshing Crocodile's heart palpitated. Or should I say, the place where we are staying just so happens to be a dense forest with powerful demonic beasts? It looks like a very ordinary ancient forest in the celestial realm. Lin Tiandao. Now, they did not doubt that this place was the celestial realm at all. An old drunkard had torn open a special void passage and sent them here. With an old drunkard's powerful strength, since he said that he was sending them to the celestial realm, it was naturally impossible for him to send them to other places. In the records of some ancient books in the starry sky, it was said that true immortal realm cultivators could be seen everywhere in the immortal realm. Therefore, it was normal for half-step true immortal realm ferocious beasts to be everywhere in a desolate ancient forest. He glanced around and said, "Let's go out first and find a place where human cultivators gather to understand the situation in the celestial realm." They were undoubtedly in the celestial realm now. In the future, they would have to cultivate and experience in the celestial realm. However, they knew too little about the situation in the celestial realm. They only knew that there were many experts in the celestial realm. They knew nothing about the division of the celestial realm and the distribution of forces. Therefore, it was not good. They had to understand all kinds of basic information about the celestial realm. Yes, we have to understand first. Let's go, Whooshing Crocodile said. Lin Tian nodded. He followed a direction and walked out of the ancient forest. After that, they naturally encountered many powerful demonic beasts. All of them had astonishing demonic chi. Fortunately, the current strength of the two beasts was not bad. As long as they were not directly attacked and hunted down by existences at the true immortal realm or above, they would not be in any danger. Therefore, the many powerful demonic beasts they encountered were all dealt with in the end. Not long after, they were walking in the desolation ancient forest. They actually saw a vast lake. There were surging waves rolling on the surface of the lake, emitting rumbling sounds. White waves splashed in all directions. The surging waves rolled, and a human figure suddenly rushed out from the bottom of the lake. It was a young cultivator. The aura on his body was chaotic and weak. He was covered in blood, and there was a look of fear in his eyes. Lin Tian, Wuxing Crocodile, and Little Taichu were all slightly moved. They did not expect a cultivator to suddenly rush out from under the lake. The young cultivator who rushed out of the lake naturally saw Lin Tian and the others and immediately rushed over. Fellow cultivator, help! Chapter 1530. The young man who rushed out from the bottom of the lake was dressed in a brocade robe. As he rushed toward Lin Tian and the others, he looked back in a panic. Lin Tian, Wuxing Crocodile, and Little Taichu were slightly shocked. This young man was actually a cultivator who was half a step away from the true immortal realm. Boom! The surface of the lake boiled as a ferocious beast emerged from the bottom of the lake. Its body was covered in bowl-sized black scales, and it had dozens of octopus-like tentacles. It was more than 200 feet tall and exuded a terrifyingly powerful demonic aura. A true immortal realm ferocious beast. Lin Tian and the others were shocked again. The sound of something breaking through the air reverberated. The young man who rushed out from the bottom of the lake was covered in blood. At this time, he rushed out of the lake and landed in front of Lin Tian and the others. Fellow Taoist, please save me. After saying this, the young man collapsed. After using all his strength to rush to Lin Tian and the others, his aura had weakened to the lowest point. It was difficult for him to even move. Boom! The waves rolled. The ferocious beast in the lake had huge eyes that were filled with ferocity. The true immortal realm demonic aura surged, setting off a monstrous wave that pressed toward them. It enveloped the young man in brocade, along with Lin Tian and the others. Kid, hurry up and dodge, Wuxing Crocodile said. Under normal circumstances, a true immortal realm ferocious beast was not something that they could stop at their current level. Lin Tian naturally knew this. He looked at the young man in brocade beside him and lifted him up. Then, together with Wuxing Crocodile and Little Taichu, he moved horizontally into the distance. Now that the young man in brocade was next to him and was asking for help, he naturally couldn't sit back and do nothing. Whoosh! Golden light flashed. He took the young man in brocade with him and moved at an extremely fast speed. Together with Wuxing Crocodile and Little Taichu, he moved several hundred feet away, avoiding the terrifying waves of the true immortal realm ferocious beast that rushed out from the bottom of the lake. Roar! The true immortal realm ferocious beast roared. Its fierce eyes stared at the young man in brocade and Lin Tian and the others. Dozens of tentacles shot out like dozens of sharp divine arrows mixed with the true immortal realm ferocious beast's aura, very oppressive. Again, Lin Tian, Wuxing Crocodile, and Little Taichu and dodged all the tentacles' attacks. Let's leave this lake area. Lin Tian, he called out to the 5 elements crocodile and Little Grand Primordium, and brought the brocade-robed young man with him as they flew into the distance at an extremely fast speed. Roar! The ferocious, immortal mortal of the sea was of the fairy crocodile S. The waves were very oppressive. Mixed with the ferocious beast's terrifying strength, it directly crushed many ancient trees in the area. Like a wave of death, it pressed towards Lin Tian and the others. At the same time, the ferocious beast of the true, immortal realm ferocious beast stepped out of the Great Lake. After the wave of death, its body chased after Lin Tian and the others. F***ck. Damn it. It clearly lives in the water, but it actually stepped out of the lake to chase after us. Isn't it afraid of being burned to death due to lack of water? Wuxing Crocodile cursed. Of course, it did it on purpose. It knew that a ferocious beast of this level would not be affected even if it left the water. Don't talk nonsense. Lin Tianyao. He used the duality steps. Golden light intertwined around his body, enveloping Wuxing Crocodile and Little Taichu. Together, they avoided the waves. Whoosh! 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 The true immortal level ferocious beast roared, and dozens of tentacles shot out. Each tentacle contained an astonishing amount of power, and its aura was very sharp, as if it could pierce through everything. Obviously, it had taken the young man in embroidered clothes and Lin Tian's group as its prey and wanted to devour them all. Moreover, its speed suddenly increased by dozens of times. In the blink of an eye, it closed the distance between it and Lin Tianyi and the others. Dozens of tentacles quickly pierced towards Lin Tian and the others. In the blink of an eye, it was in front of Lin Tian and the others. Strands of true immortal demonic power were mixed in the tentacles, causing the group to be shocked. At this time, it was already too late to dodge. Lin Tian's expression was solemn. He held up the Xian Luo immortal sword and used it to perform the heavenly sword scripture, slashing out dense sword lights. At the same time, the Wuxing crocodile held up the soul-shattering awl, and the little Taichu held up the emperor-shattering seal. They were both true immortal artifacts, and they activated an astonishing amount of divine light. Together with the dense sword lights that Lin Tian slashed out, they pressed down on the dozens of tentacles of the true, immortal ferocious beast. In an instant, there was a rumbling sound, and three majestic forces surged out, shaking off the dozens of tentacles of the true, immortal ferocious beast. Moreover, even the true, immortal ferocious beast's body shook slightly. The young man in embroidered clothes was surprised. Lin Tian and the others had true, immortal artifacts. Precious weapons of this level were very valuable. Clang! The ear-piercing sound of the sword reverberated. Lin Tianyi held the young man in embroidered clothes in one hand and the Xian Luo immortal sword in the other. Once again, he slashed out dense sword lights, like a rain of swords, towards the true, immortal ferocious beast. Of course, he did not do this to hurt the true, immortal ferocious beast. He only did this to confuse and disturb the opponent, so as to buy time and opportunity for his group to escape. "Let's go," he said. The moment he slashed out the sword lights, he called out to the Wuxing crocodile and the little Taichu, and they quickly rushed into the distance. In the blink of an eye, they had covered tens of thousands of feet, rushing towards the end of Tianji like lightning. The true, immortal ferocious beast that stepped out from the bottom of the great lake shook its tentacles, shattering the dense sword lights that Lin Tian had slashed out. When it looked again, Lin Tian and the others had already rushed further away, disappearing into the horizon. Roar! It let out an angry roar, and the rolling sound waves surged, shaking a large area of the nearby ancient trees into pieces. After shaking off the true, immortal ferocious beast that had rushed out from the Great Lake, Lin Tian led the young man in embroidered clothes, the Wuxing crocodile, and the little Taichu at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, they had moved even further away. After about 10 breaths, they had stepped out of the primitive ancient forest. "We're finally out safely." The Wuxing crocodile breathed a sigh of relief and put the true, immortal tool soul shattering all back into his body. That primitive ancient forest was really dangerous. Lin Tian put down the young man in embroidered clothes and then put away the true, immortal tool Xian Luo immortal sword. "Thank you, my friend. I can't thank you enough." The young man thanked Lin Tiandao. After being carried by Lin Tian for such a long time, although he was still severely injured and extremely weak, he still had some ability to move. Lin Tian shook his head. "You're welcome. I'm Du Qingzhou. Thank you for saving my life, my friend." The young man in embroidered clothes was a little weak, and then he said, "I came out to train myself, and my home is not far from here. My friend and your two companions, please come to my home to rest. I can't repay you for saving my life, but at least let me take care of you and your two companions." Lin Tian paused and then nodded with a smile. "Okay, then I'll bother you." Now he, the Wuxing crocodile, and the little Taichu had just entered the immortal domain, and they didn't know much about the immortal domain. At this time, Du Qingzhou invited him to the Du family as a guest, which could be said to be an opportunity. They could learn some basic information about the immortal domain from the Du family, so it would be convenient for them to travel in the immortal domain in the future. How can it be a bother when my savior is going to be a guest? Du Qingzhou shook his head and enthusiastically led the way for Lin Tian and the others. At the same time, he asked Lin Tiandao, "How should I address you, my friend?" Lin Tian. Lin Tian said simply, "So it's Brother Lin." Du Qingzhou said, "This time it's really thanks to Brother Lin and your two companions' help. Otherwise, I'm afraid I would have been buried in the stomach of that ferocious beast." "You're welcome," Lin Tian said with a smile. Du Qingzhou led the way for him, the whooshing crocodile, and the little Taichu. The group flew in the air and headed northwest. After more than 2 hours, a relatively flat mountain appeared in front of them. There was a huge manor, covering an area of tens of thousands of square meters, and all the buildings were very restored. In front of the manor, there was a huge plaque in front of the main gate with a big Du character engraved on it. "We're here. It's just a small house. Brother Lin, please don't mind," Du Qingzhou said with a smile. "Not at all. Its aura is extraordinary." Lin Tiandao. He wasn't flattering him, but telling the truth. Although this manor was far less than some of the major forces in the starry sky, its aura was very amazing. It was a bit stronger than several of the major forces in the starry sky. He, the whooshing crocodile, and the little Taichu followed Du Qingzhou and went straight into the manor of the Du family. As soon as he entered the manor of the Du family, he felt an extraordinary aura. The landscape and layout of the manor were more exquisite than many of the major forces in the starry sky. Du Qingzhou led Lin Tian, the whooshing crocodile, and the little Taichu to a luxurious hall in the manor. "Brother Lin, please wait for a moment. Your savior is here. I'll go and inform my father and elders to accompany you," Du Qingzhou said with a smile. Then, Du Qingzhou walked out of the hall. Lin Tian looked around the hall. There were many ancient paintings hanging in the hall. They were all rare masterpieces. At the same time, there were a few pots of ancient flowers placed in the hall. They were called spirit tranquility plants. The flowers bloomed often and naturally emitted a faint fragrance. They could help cultivators maintain a calm Tao heart at any time. They were very extraordinary. It was rare to see 1 or 2 of them in the starry sky. He had only seen descriptions of these flowers in ancient books, but he didn't expect the Du family to have so many of them. Moreover, these flowers seemed to be very ordinary to the Du family. They were placed in the hall like potted plants. It should be said that there are many ordinary spirit tranquility plants in the immortal domain, so the Du family doesn't take them seriously. He muttered to himself. He, the whooshing crocodile, and the little Taichu waited quietly in the hall. In the blink of an eye, more than an hour had passed. At this moment, the sound of footsteps came from outside the hall. Du Qingzhou had returned, and his complexion was much better than before. It seemed that he had taken some kind of healing panacea. 7 middle-aged men appeared with him, and all of them were true immortals. The one in the middle was the most powerful. He was at least at the middle stage of the true immortal realm, and his qi and blood were vigorous. "It's them," Du Qingzhou said to the 5 middle-aged men. At this time, he looked at Lin Tian, the whooshing crocodile, and the little Taichu. He was no longer as polite as before. There was a playful smile on the corner of his mouth. Lin Tian frowned. Naturally, he could see the change in Du Qingzhou's attitude. The other 7 middle-aged men were also not friendly. "Take the initiative to hand over your true immortal artifacts, and I'll leave your corpses intact." Chapter 1531. Listening to the middle-aged man in the middle who came with Du Qingzhou, Lin Tian's face suddenly sank. At this time, he would be a fool if he still didn't know what was going on. Du Qingzhou saw that he, whooshing crocodile, and little Taichu all had true immortal weapons, so he led them to the Du family manor in the name of returning the favor. Then, he told the real powerhouse of the Du family that he wanted to kill them and take their treasures. He tilted his head and looked at Du Qingzhou with cold eyes. Just for 3 true immortal weapons, this person who he had just saved wanted to kill him and take his true immortal weapons. "Don't look at me like that. You can only blame yourself for being too stupid. Don't you understand the principle of not showing your wealth? Don't you know that you don't guard against people after showing your wealth? You're really stupid." Du Qingzhou smiled mockingly and said, "Although the 3 true immortal weapons are not very amazing divine objects, their value is not bad. They can be kept in my Du family's treasury to increase my Du family's strength." I advise you and those two animals by your side to obediently hand over the true immortal artifact and the other treasures as well. That way, I'll give you a quick death on account of the fact that you've saved my life before." He looked at Lin Tian with a mocking expression and was quite proud of himself. "Son of a bitch!" The five elements crocodile looked at Du Qingzhou, his eyes emitting a cold light. "Son of a bitch!" Little Taichu angrily echoed Wuxing Crocodile's words. Du Qingzhou's face suddenly sank, and he said coldly, "Who are you calling a son of a bitch? Clean your mouth for this young master." "Yes, Sir Crocodile, and the little guy are wrong. Calling you a son of a bitch is an insult to the creatures of dogs. Ungrateful trash, like you can't even compare to maggots in the cesspool." Wuxing Crocodile said coldly. Du Qingzhou's face sank, and his eyes became extremely sinister. He stared at Wuxing Crocodile like a poisonous snake and said, "You're courting death. All right, from the looks of it, they don't seem to be willing to hand it over. Kill them, and we'll get it ourselves." Next to Du Qingzhou, a middle-aged man in a green robe spoke. He was one of the 7 big shots of the Du family and was at the early stage of the true immortal realm. At this moment, he directly reached out his hand and enveloped Lin Tian, Wuxing Crocodile, and little Taichu within it. Then he mercilessly slapped down. Merely 3 half-step true immortals who have condensed one strand of celestial core. How dare you insult my Du family's descendants in my Du family? Its outstretched hand covered the surroundings. Its pure physical strength was extremely shocking, sealing off all paths of retreat for the human and the 2 beasts. There was a cold light in Lin Tian's eyes. He raised his hand and punched the man's hand. In the blink of an eye, his fist collided with the green-robed, middle-aged man's big hand. Bang! With a muffled sound, the green-robed, middle-aged man could not help but tremble. Then, like a scarecrow, he was sent flying hundreds of feet away and smashed into 3 of the Du family's pavilions. Such a scene caused the other 6 middle-aged men of the Du family and Du Qingzhou's expressions to change. Lin Tian was clearly only at the half-step true immortal realm and had only condensed one strand of celestial core. But now, he had sent one of their Du family's true immortals flying with a single punch. He's only at the half-step true immortal realm, but his pure physical strength is actually comparable to a true immortal's. Interesting. The strongest middle-aged man of the Du family stared at Lin Tian. He was Du Qingzhou's father and the master of the Du family manor. At this moment, a strange light flashed in his eyes. Clearly, it was very shocking. His cultivation was at the mid-stage of the true immortal realm, and his chi and blood were very vigorous. He's just a strong physical body. His cultivation is still only at the half-step true immortal realm. His real combat strength is not worth mentioning. Next to him, another middle-aged man said. At the same time, the other middle-aged men of the true immortal realm were no longer shocked, and their eyes became cold again. Du Qingzhou looked at Lin Tian, and the shock in his eyes turned into a sinister light. He said, "His physical body is so strong that it's comparable to a true immortal's. Later on, when we suppress him, we just have to erase his divine soul and refine his physical body into a puppet. It will be a very good human-shaped weapon." "Qingzhou, this is a good idea. Refine him into a puppet and place him in front of our Du family. He will be a good guard servant," one of the 7 middle-aged men in a black robe said. He was at the early stage of the true immortal realm and ranked 5th among the big shots of the Du family. Lin Tianlong looked at these people coldly, and his eyes were somewhat cold. "It seems that you want to be annihilated very much," Wuxing Crocodile said coldly. Little Taichu was angry and glared at Du Qingzhou and the other middle-aged men. "Annihilate? Are you saying that you can annihilate our Du family?" Du Qingzhou sneered. "Even if someone at the peak of the true immortal realm comes, he will only end up dead in our Du family. You dare to say such words in my Du family? Are you so scared that you're about to die?" Wuxing Crocodile looked at Du Qingzhou, and his demonic eyes were cold and merciless. Lin Tian looked at Du Qingzhou, and his eyes were also very cold. Boom! Outside the main hall, divine energy vibrated, and the green-robed old man of the Dew family, who was sent flying, rushed back in the blink of an eye. Little B asterisk starred. At this time, the man looked at Lin Tian, and his face became a little pale. His eyes were full of cold, murderous intent. He was a true immortal, but he was sent flying by a half-step true immortal. It was a kind of humiliation. I'll make you suffer a fate worse than death. As the man spoke, he directly raised his hand and grabbed at Lin Tian again. Moreover, this time, he did not simply attack with pure physical strength. Instead, he intertwined the aura of a true immortal. Seventh brother, don't shatter his physical body. Just suppress him and erase his soul, and refine his physical body into a puppet. The current head of the Dew family said. As for the other 2B asterisk stars, you can directly take the true immortal weapon and kill them. Okay. The green-robed old man who attacked responded coldly. The true immortal divine light surged and sealed every corner of the surroundings. The giant palm of divine energy came to the top of Lin Tianyi and the others in the blink of an eye. Its aura was strong and oppressive. Its cultivation was at the early stage of a true immortal, but its aura was stronger than the first true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty, who was about to reach the middle stage of a true immortal. In the face of this man's pressure, Lin Tian's expression did not change. There was only coldness and indifference. Clang! An ear-piercing sound of a weapon reverberated, and a battle spear rushed out of Lin Tian's body. The sound of the weapon was deafening, and it directly shook out a dazzling cold light, mixed with appalling killing intent, and rushed straight ahead. With a puff, the green-robed old man's big hand was directly shattered. Then, the cold light that rushed out of the battle spear did not slow down. Its speed was frighteningly fast, and in the blink of an eye, it disappeared into the green-robed old man's head. Ah! With a piercing scream, the green-robed old man's body exploded. His divine soul struggled in the broken flesh and blood, trying to escape, but it was useless. In the blink of an eye, it was crushed by the cold light of the battle spear, and his body and soul were destroyed on the spot. Suddenly, in the hall, the head of the Dew family, the other middle-aged men, and Du Qingzhou all changed their expressions greatly. A true immortal of their Dew family was killed with one blow. They looked at Lin Tian in shock and anger, and then their eyes fell on the battle spear in front of Lin Tian, and their expressions changed again. This is the head of the Dew family, and the others trembled together. They all felt the terror of the battle spear beside Lin Tian, as if it could pierce through everything in the world. That kind of terrifying aura made the head of the Dew family, a mid-stage true immortal, feel a wave of fear. You actually, Du Qingzhou's face turned pale. No matter what, he did not expect Lin Tian, a half-step true immortal, to have such a terrifying battle spear on him in addition to a true immortal weapon. It made his divine soul tremble, as if it would crack in the next moment. Beside Lin Tian, the battle spear flickered with a faint light. The law of the immortal Tao intertwined, and a terrifying murderous aura surrounded the spear. Before reaching the immortal king realm, the only chance to use it was wasted by a group of trash like you. He looked at the people of the Dew family, and his eyes were cold. Then, he looked at Du Qingzhou, and the murderous intent in his eyes was not concealed. The strength of the Dew family was very strong. With the current strength of him, Wuxing Crocodile, and Little Taichu, it was impossible to resist. Even if Wuxing Crocodile and Little Taichu each had a supreme elixir that could increase their battle strength by 10 times, it was useless. After all, there was a mid-stage true immortal expert in the Dew family, whose battle strength was much stronger than theirs. At the same time, when he entered the Dew family, he found that there was a very exquisite array in the Dew family, which was comparable to the killing array of the golden immortal level. Even a peak true immortal could not resist it. Therefore, at this time, he could only take out the battle spear that an old drunkard gave him. Only this flawless immortal king-level weapon could protect him, Wuxing Crocodile, and Little Taichu at this time. An old drunkard had said that there was a seal in the battle spear. Before he reached the immortal king realm, he could only use this battle spear once. After using it once, the seal that an old drunkard left in the battle spear would automatically open and seal the battle spear, turning this immortal king-level battle spear into an ordinary weapon. Other than its hardness, everything else would be sealed. He had just entered the immortal realm and saved a cultivator from the mouth of a true immortal-level beast. Then the other party repaid his kindness with enmity and led him here to kill him and seize the true immortal artifacts on him, whooshing crocodile and little Taichu. Because of this, he had wasted the only chance to use the battle spear before he reached the immortal king realm. This made him extremely angry. Clang! He looked at the people of the Dew family in front of him and grabbed the battle spear beside him. With a shake, another killing light flew out. The killing light was extremely fast, and its power was terrifying. In the blink of an eye, it passed through the forehead of the black-robed, middle-aged man. Poof! For a moment, blood splattered. The black-robed, middle-aged man in the early true immortal level did not even have time to scream before his body directly exploded. Even his true immortal level divine soul was shattered by the killing light, and his body and soul were directly destroyed. Such a scene made the Du family head and the others, as well as Du Qingzhou, tremble even more. In just the blink of an eye, 2 true immortals of the Du family were killed. Moreover, they were killed in a single blow. Form the dragon sealing formation and trap him. Seize that battle spear. The Du family had said in shock and anger. Chapter 1532. The Tao pattern floated in the air and was cast by the head of the Du family and the other 4 Du family perfected immortals. They formed a huge Tao formation, trapping Lin Tian, whooshing crocodile, and little Taichu within. Every corner of the formation was sealed by the perfected immortal formation. Good, they can't come out now. Being in this formation, their mobility will be greatly limited. It will be tens of thousands of times more difficult than usual. They might even be unable to move. Take advantage of this opportunity to kill them. The third eldest of the Du family said. As he spoke, he directly rushed into the dragon sealing formation and grabbed at Lin Tian. Third uncle, take the battle spear first, then suppress him. Torture him well, then erase his divine soul and make him into a puppet servant. Du Qingzhou said in a sinister voice. The dragon sealing formation was a very powerful combined attack formation. It was cast by the 5 perfected immortals of the Du family. He believed that Lin Tian, whooshing crocodile, and little Taichu were already unable to move. Even with that powerful battle spear, it would be useless. Got it? The 4th eldest of the Du family said. At this moment, he appeared in front of Lin Tian and directly grabbed at the battle spear. Take a clang. The ear-piercing sound of a weapon reverberated, directly interrupting the 4th eldest of the Du family. At this moment, Lin Tian made his move. The battle spear in his hand pressed down like a long rod, smashing the 4th eldest of the Du family, who was rushing in front of him into pieces. His divine soul was also annihilated under this attack. 4th brother, the Du family head and the others were shocked. Under this attack, the 3rd perfected immortal of the Du family was killed. In the blink of an eye, his body and divine soul were destroyed. Du Qingzhou said in a trembling voice, How is this possible? Wasn't he trapped by the dragon sealing formation? How can he still move? This is impossible. You want to trap us with this trashy formation? Whooshing crocodile said coldly. Lin Tian shook his battle spear, and a ring of immortal light intertwined, directly annihilating all the Tao patterns in the surroundings. Just now, when the Du family patriarch and the others formed the dragon sealing formation, he just stood there and looked at them coldly without moving. The Du family people thought that he was trapped by the dragon sealing formation. However, with an immortal king level ancestral immortal artifact in hand, how could a dragon sealing formation formed by a few true immortals trap him? That was simply a joke. He looked at the head of the Du family and Du Qingzhou. With the spear in his hand, he approached them step by step. The Du family patriarch and the others couldn't help but tremble. Seeing Lin Tian approaching with his spear, a sense of fear rose in their hearts. Their backs and internal organs couldn't help but become ice cold. Du Qingzhou, in particular, could not help but stagger backwards. His legs and stomach began to tremble involuntarily. Family patriarch, what happened? A voice sounded. Lin Tian and the others were fighting in this place, which naturally alarmed many people in the Du family. At this time, many people rushed to this place. When they saw Lin Tian approaching the Du family patriarch and the others with a spear, the several shattered halls and pavilions, and the traces of blood in the surroundings, the people who rushed to this place all changed their expressions. Facing Lin Tian approaching step by step, the Du family patriarch and the others all retreated all the way to the courtyard outside the hall. Activate the manner protection, immortal formation. The Du family patriarch roared. As soon as he finished speaking, this middle-aged man was the first to move. The other middle-aged men also moved together, each forming a mysterious seal. Then, in the blink of an eye, a dense array of divine patterns appeared in the manner of the Du family. A mystical array was activated. Not only were there simple array patterns, but there were also Tao patterns intertwined within it. It was very extraordinary. As the array was activated, it only took a moment for the Du family's manor to be completely enveloped. Every inch of the void in the Du family's manor was filled with an austere aura. Rays of killing light emerged from the Du family's manor. Seeing the dazzling rays of killing light and feeling the fierce killing intent, the Du family patriarch's expression relaxed a little. The gaze he looked at Lin Tian with became cold again. He said eerily, "Once the Du family's manner protection immortal formation is activated, even if a half-step true immortal is inside, he will only be killed. Today, you all?" Clang! The sound of a weapon was ear-piercing, once again interrupting the Du family patriarch's words. Lin Tian shook the spear in his hand and casually swept it. A ray of immortal light flew out and instantly shattered the Du family's immortal formation. In an instant, the Du family patriarch and the others' expressions changed drastically. "No, impossible!" Several people exclaimed. The Du family's manner protection immortal formation, the most powerful trump card of the Du family, was destroyed so easily. At the same time, the people who came from other parts of the Du family's manor were also shocked. This person is... What's going on? Why is this person acting so recklessly in the Du family? Who is he? The people of the Du family who came at this time did not know why Lin Tian attacked in the Du family's manor, forcing the Du family patriarch and the others to activate the Du family's immortal formation. However, when they saw Lin Tian destroy the Du family's immortal formation, they all trembled. How terrifying was it to be able to destroy the Du family's immortal formation that could kill a half-step golden immortal with one blow. Lin Tian held his spear and ignored the people of the Du family who came at this time. His eyes only fell on the Du family patriarch, the three middle-aged true immortals, and Du Qingzhou. His eyes were cold as he looked at Du Qingzhou. Like a flash of lightning, he took a step forward and arrived in front of Du Qingzhou. "You..." Du Qingzhou trembled violently and retreated in shock and fear. At the same time, the Du family patriarch and the others naturally knew that Lin Tian was going to attack Du Qingzhou, so they attacked Lin Tian together. Lin Tian shook the spear in his hand, releasing a wave of immortal light. The Du family patriarch and the others were all sent flying while vomiting blood. Then, he raised his left hand and slapped Du Qingzhou. "Ah!" Du Qingzhou screamed, blood flowing from his mouth and nose. He was slapped to the ground. Lin Tian raised his leg and stomped on Du Qingzhou's chest. Immediately, the sound of bones shattering could be heard. Quite a few cracks appeared on the ground, spreading out like a spider web. Du Qingzhou screamed again with blood gushing out of his mouth. "Young master!" At this time, the people of the Du family who rushed to this place were shocked when they saw this scene. However, no one dared to step forward to save Du Qingzhou by attacking Lin Tian, because these people just saw Lin Tian holding the spear and shattering the Du family's protective array that could kill a half-step golden immortal with one strike. He also easily sent the Du family patriarch and the others, who were true immortals, flying. So, how could they, who were below the true immortal realm, dare to step forward? If they really rushed forward, they would definitely die. In another position, 4 waves of immortal Tao divine power rushed up. The Du family patriarch and the others who were sent flying rushed back. Let him go. Du family patriarch saw Lin Tian stepping on Du Qingzhou and saw Du Qingzhou screaming with blood flowing from his mouth and nose. His eyes immediately turned red. The powerful aura of a mid-stage true immortal erupted. He took out a true immortal weapon and attacked Lin Tian crazily. At the same time, the other 3 true immortals of the Du family also rushed together, each of them supporting an extremely powerful true immortal divine power. Lin Tian looked at these people. His movements were very simple. He held the spear and casually swept it away. Crack! With a crisp sound, the Du family patriarch's true immortal weapon was directly shattered into pieces. Then, with a bang, Du family patriarch was sent flying again. His powerful true immortal physique was instantly tattered. At the same time, the true immortal divine powers of the other 3 true immortals of the Du family were all annihilated. They were also sent flying, smashing into the Du family's attics one after another. Sand and dust splattered all over the Du family's residence. The other members of the Du family trembled, and their faces turned pale. Lin Tian did not care about the Du family patriarch and the others at this time. His cold gaze fell on Du Qingzhou under his feet. Du Qingzhou's mouth and nose were bleeding. When he met Lin Tian's gaze, he could not stop trembling. His eyes were full of fear. Brother Lin, I was wrong. Please be magnanimous and forgive me. Let me go, he said in a trembling voice. Let your mother go. Whooshing crocodile cursed from the side. His eyes were cold. Like what you said before, you can't die peacefully even if you want to. Before you die, I'll torture you properly. Yeah. Little Taichu glared at him and echoed. He was very angry. Lin Tian did not say anything. He looked down at Du Qingzhou with a cold and merciless gaze. He stepped on Du Qingzhou and crushed a few of Du Qingzhou's ribs, causing Du Qingzhou to scream again. Back then, when he was on the ancient planet Tonghung, he saved a person. After that, he was betrayed by that person, causing a top force on the ancient planet Tonghung to hunt him down. Now, he had just entered the celestial realm and saved Du Qingzhou. The other party was even more sinister than that person on the ancient planet Tonghung. The moment he was saved, he immediately led him to the Du family manor and lured the Du family patriarch and the others to kill him. The purpose was only to seize the true immortal artifacts on him, Whooshing Crocodile and Little Taichu. He held the battle spear in his right hand, and divine light surged in his left hand. He used the 4-symbol seal to seal the flow of Du Qingzhou's divine power. Then, 3 thumb-sized bugs appeared. With a wave of his hand, he directly sent the 3 bugs into Du Qingzhou's body. Suddenly, Du Qingzhou trembled violently. Then, he let out an incomparably shrill scream. His entire body could not stop twitching. What did you do to me? Ah! Du Qingzhou screamed. Lin Tian's eyes were cruel. The 3 bugs he sent out were based on the blood-eating goo worms of the insect clan in the 10-direction celestial realm. They had the same characteristics as the real blood-eating goo worms. Once they were sent into the body of a living being, they would slowly devour the living being's flesh and blood. Moreover, the process lasted for a very long time and was extremely painful. Lin Tian's eyes were cold. Divine light intertwined in his left hand again, condensing into an elixir seal and sending it into Du Qingzhou's body. This elixir seal was a secret technique recorded in the medicine encyclopedia. It could increase the pain of living beings by tens of thousands of times. Ah! Du Qingzhou immediately let out an incomparably shrill scream. His eyes were bloodshot in the blink of an eye. He struggled painfully under Lin Tian's feet, his cheeks twisted in pain. Kill me, kill me. Chapter 1533. The blood-eating parasitic worms ran amok in his body, devouring his flesh and blood. It was extremely painful, and the pill seal that Lin Tian used increased the pain by tens of thousands of times. Under the situation where the flow of Du Qingzhou's divine power was restricted, Du Qingzhou did not have the slightest ability to resist. The heart-wrenching pain caused Du Qingzhou to scream miserably, and his eyes were bloodshot. Ah! Along with the ear-piercing scream, small holes could be seen on Du Qingzhou's body, and blood flowed out. The flesh and blood in those places were completely devoured by the blood-eating parasitic worms that Lin Tian created with his divine power. Young master, seeing this scene and seeing Du Qingzhou's miserable appearance, the experts of the Du family were all terrified. That's how it should be. I'll torture you to death, you trash. Wuxing Crocodile said coldly. Being repaid kindness with enmity was something that had happened before, but it was still infuriating to experience it again. Ah! Du Qingzhou screamed miserably in extreme pain. Lin Tian looked down at Du Qingzhou with a cold expression. Qingzhou! A furious roar sounded. Not far away, the head of the Du family, who was sent flying, rushed back again. Seeing Du Qingzhou's miserable appearance at this time, his body could not help but tremble. Father, save me, save Ah! Du Qingzhou cried for help, and then screamed miserably again. Having 3 blood-eating parasitic worms devour his flesh and organs bit by bit in his body, and with the pill seal that magnified the pain of the blood-eating parasitic worms devouring his flesh and blood by tens of thousands of times, this kind of torture could be said to be inhumanly difficult, and it was really too painful. The head of the Du family was furious and directly rushed over. Lin Tian stood beside Du Qingzhou, one foot on Du Qingzhou's chest, and looked indifferently at the head of the Du family rushing over. Beast, get out of my way! The patriarch of the Du family roared at Lin Tian. With his mid-stage true immortal cultivation base, he fully activated his true immortal level mystique. He also pushed his own immortal Tao laws to the limit. He unleashed a terrifying killing force, crushing down on Lin Tian with the force of the heavens. Lin Tian's eyes were cold, and he didn't move at all. He waited until this person's killing intent surged in front of him before he made a move. He swung the battle spear in his hand and simply pierced forward. With a hiss, the true immortal's divine ability and law of the immortal Tao that the patriarch of Du family had unleashed were instantly shattered by the flawless ancestral immortal artifact. Then, with a poof, the immortal power around the battle spear surged, and it directly pierced through the chest of the Du family head who was charging over. Ah! The Du family patriarch screamed miserably. Being pierced through by an ancestral immortal battle spear was not a pleasant feeling at all. Lin Tian's expression was cold, and the battle spear in his hand shook violently. A vast killing force erupted from the battle spear and rushed straight into the patriarch of Du family, directly causing his physical body to explode. Moreover, even his spirit body was destroyed at the same time. After all, although the patriarch of Du family was not weak, he was only a mid-stage, true, immortal cultivator. In the face of a flawless ancestral immortal artifact of immortal king level that was about to mature into a quasi-true immortal weapon, how could he possibly withstand it? Big brother! In the distance, the other 3 true immortals of Du family trembled in unison. At the same time, the other members of Du family were also trembling. Their patriarch was killed in a single blow just like that. Many people trembled in fear. Lin Tian stepped on Du Qingzhou, who was howling in pain, and swept his battle spear at the 3 true immortals of Du family. He used his divine power to imprison Du Qingzhou on the spot, causing him to continuously suffer the pain of the blood-eating parasitic worms devouring his flesh and blood, as well as the pain amplified tens of thousands of times by the magical pill seal. Then, with the battle spear in hand, he walked toward the 3 true immortals of Du family. These people knew that he had saved Du Qingzhou's life, but they still wanted to kill him, the Wuxing Crocodile, and the little Taichu with Du Qingzhou. They wanted to steal their true immortal weapons and turn him into a puppet. Naturally, he would not let these people go. As Lin Tian walked toward them, the three true immortals of Du family trembled and could not help but stagger backward. Their eyes were filled with fear. The killing power of Lin Tian with the battle spear was simply too terrifying. He had killed several early-stage true immortals of Du family, destroyed the protective formation of Du family, and even killed the patriarch of Du family, a mid-stage true immortal, with a single blow. You! Don't mess around! My third brother of Du family is an elder of True Treasure sect, one of the 10 strongest sects in Taining province. If you mess around again, I will definitely kill you one day, one of them said fiercely. Lin Tian's expression was cold, as if he did not hear anything. He sped up and arrived in front of the person who spoke in the blink of an eye. Clang! He shook the ancestral immortal artifact battle spear in his hand and thrust it straight forward. It was like the birth of a divine dragon, and nothing could stop it. In an instant, it shattered the divine light of the true immortals around the person who spoke and pierced straight through his chest. Ah! The true immortal of Du family who spoke screamed. Then in the next moment, his true immortal physical body exploded on the spot. His spiritual body was also crushed by the peerless killing power contained in the ancestral immortal weapon battle spear. You still dare to attack us? In this bloodline, the other two true immortal experts were trembling. They had already brought out the true most powerful expert of their Du family's generation, an elder of one of the 10 most powerful sects of Peace Province, Primal Chaos Treasure Sect. However, Lin Tian still mercilessly killed him, leaving them both shocked and furious. At the same time, the feeling of fear grew stronger. I don't care who you are. You repaid our kindness with enmity and killed us. How can we let trash like you live? Whooshing Crocodile cursed. Lin Tian did not say anything. Holding the ancestral immortal weapon battle spear, he closed in on the last two true immortals of Du family. The last two true immortals of Du family trembled as they felt Lin Tian's killing intent. They were surrounded by fear. They looked at each other and immediately retreated. They did not care about Du Qingzhou, who was howling in pain, nor did they care about the other people in Du family's manor. They directly rushed out of Du family's manor, wanting to escape from Du family's manor. Lin Tian's aura with the battle spear was too terrifying. He did not care about the strongest person of Du family at all. If they continued to stay, they would definitely die. There was no way they could stop Lin Tian with the terrifying battle spear. Lin Tian's expression did not change at all as he watched the two flee. With a jolt of the battle spear in his hand, a large expanse of divine light rippled out, instantly sealing off the Du family's manor. With a bang, the two fleeing Du family true immortals were knocked back. The two true immortals of Du family were knocked back. They trembled violently, and their cheeks turned pale. Their eyes were full of fear. Lin Tian held the battle spear and walked towards the two. "Little brother, please have mercy," one of them said, pointing at Du Qingzhou, who was howling in pain in the distance. "It's this little bastard who repaid kindness with enmity. You should just kill him." "No, we will do it ourselves. Clean up the house." "Yes, it's all this little bastard's fault." The other person pointed at Du Qingzhou. Using the strongest person of Du family was useless. At this moment, the two began to beg for mercy. Neither of them wanted to die. Lin Tian's expression did not change, and his pace did not change. He held the battle spear and walked forward. Clang! He shook the battle spear in his hand. Immortal light intertwined at the tip of the spear, and he pressed it straight forward. The two true immortals of Du family were shocked, angry, and terrified. There was no way to dodge, and they could only attack. They both used their powerful true immortal mystiques and immortal Dao laws. However, their true immortal mystiques and immortal Dao laws were weak in the face of the ancestral immortal battle spear. They were all crushed in the blink of an eye. Puff! Blood splattered. The ancestral immortal battle spear landed on one of the true immortals, and immediately smashed him to pieces. Even his soul was shattered. In the blink of an eye, only one true immortal was left in Du family's manor. His face was frighteningly pale, and he trembled. Don't kill me. Little brother, please have mercy." The true immortal begged Lin Tian, frantically begging for mercy. Lin Tian's expression was cold. There was no way he would show mercy. The ancestral immortal weapon in his hand bloomed with immortal light, and he pressed down mercilessly again. "Ah!" The last true immortal in Du family's manor screamed. He was crushed by the battle spear on the spot, and his soul exploded as well. In an instant, the people of Du family trembled in fear again. In such a short period of time, the 6 powerful true immortals of Du family's generation were all killed in Du family's manor. "Ah!" A miserable howl resounded as blood continuously flowed out from Du Qingzhou's body. The 3 blood-devouring parasites were running amok in his body, devouring his flesh and organs. They had already bitten his body to the point that it was in tatters, and there were even more holes in his body. Through these holes, one could faintly see the 3 parasites tearing apart his flesh, and the scene was extremely horrifying. "Kill me! Kill me!" Du Qingzhou howled. When they saw this scene, the crowd from the Du family shuddered. How cruel was this scene? How terrifying was it? Lin Tian looked at Du Qingzhou, and then turned to look at the other people of Du family. Meeting Lin Tian's gaze, the people of Du family trembled in fear. What are you going to do to us?" someone said in a trembling voice. Lin Tian glanced at these people and did not care. Then, he looked at the wailing Du Qingzhou, who was imprisoned on the ground. He called Wuxing Crocodile and Little Taichu and walked toward the center of Du family's manor. There should be many ancient books in Du family that describe the immortal realm. He wanted to get them and have a basic understanding of the immortal realm. At the same time, there should be many treasures in this branch, and he wanted to take them with him. In this branch, the head of Du family and several big shots, who knew that he had saved Du Qingzhou's life, still wanted to kill them and take their true immortal artifacts. How could he be polite? As for the other Du family members, except for Du Qingzhou and the head of Du family, as long as they did not do anything to them, he would not kill them casually. He would not care about them. "Ah! Don't go! Kill me! Kill me quickly!" Du Qingzhou howled miserably. Lin Tian did not change his pace. He let Du Qingzhou howl miserably on the ground and endure the inhumane torture of having his flesh and organs devoured bit by the blood-eating parasitic worms. Not long after, he arrived at the center of Du family's manor with Wuxing Crocodile and Little Taichu. He pushed open the door to a secret room. Inside, there were many exquisite treasures piled up. There was a very rich medicinal fragrance in the air, and the man and the 2 beasts were slightly moved. Immortal Comprehension Grass, a treasure that can help condense celestial core power. Chapter 1534. The Immortal Comprehension Grass contained many fragments of the immortal path. It was a rare treasure. Refining it and absorbing the fragments could help a half-step true immortal condense celestial core power at an astonishing speed. Lin Tian looked at the purple immortal comprehension grass. There were more than 90 of them in the Du family's secret room, together with some other natural treasures. It should be enough for each of us to condense a second strand of celestial core power, he said. The immortal comprehension grass was extraordinary, but it was impossible for a half-step true immortal to condense a strand of celestial core power. Fortunately, there were enough of them in the Du family's secret room, and they could barely condense a second strand of celestial core power. Aside from the immortal comprehension grass, there were many other heavenly materials and earthly treasures in the room. Although they were not very valuable, they were still quite valuable. With a wave of his hand, he swept up an expanse of divine light and collected all the heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Let's go look at other places. There should be some Baodan treasured weapons. Take them all, Wuxing Crocodile said. Lin Tian nodded and walked out of the secret room. Not long after, he opened a few more secret rooms and took many Baodan treasured weapons. They were all extraordinary. Finally, the man and the two beasts came to the place where the Dew family stored the ancient books. It was a pavilion, and there were many ancient books inside. They were filled with jade bookshelves. From here, you can get a general overview of the celestial realm, Whooshing Crocodile said. With Lin Tian in the lead, they walked into the pavilion where the Dew family stored their ancient books. His divine sense swept through the pavilion, and he flipped through 3 ancient books that described the immortal realm. From these 3 ancient books, he quickly gained a basic understanding of the immortal realm. The immortal domain was divided into prefectures, and each prefecture was many times larger than the myriad domain imperial star in the starry sky. The number of prefectures in the immortal domain was uncountable, just like the stars in the starry sky. Besides the countless large provinces, the immortal domain had countless seas, boundless deserts, and various ancient, restricted areas. Even if it was an immortal king realm expert, it would be impossible for him to truly travel through the entire immortal domain in his lifetime. To put it simply, the immortal realms were boundlessly vast and boundless. In the immortal domain, the spiritual energy that cultivators usually absorbed from the air for cultivation was no longer as simple as the spiritual energy in the starry sky. The spiritual energy in the air of the immortal domain was mixed with the aura of immortals, which was called immortal spiritual energy. Its quality was completely incomparable to ordinary spiritual energy. The difference was like heaven and earth. For a simple comparison, it could be said that the energy contained in a small strand of immortal spirit chi in the immortal domain was more powerful than the total amount of spirit chi contained in a complete divine vein in the starry sky. Moreover, there was another point that the space in the celestial realm was extremely sturdy. If one wanted to shatter the space in the celestial realm, one had to at least have the cultivation of the mysterious immortal realm. If one wanted to tear the void and move like in the stars in the starry sky, one had to at least have the cultivation of the heavenly immortal realm. Moreover, the distance one could move was very limited. No wonder the ferocious beasts in the ancient forest were at least at the eternal realm. Moreover, the power they possessed far exceeded that of cultivators of the same level in the starry sky. It turns out that the spiritual energy in the celestial realm is immortal spiritual energy that far surpasses spiritual energy. It would be strange if one didn't cultivate with this level of immortal spiritual energy. Also, no wonder the void didn't even ripple when we used the power of a half-step true immortal. It turns out that the space in the celestial realm is so sturdy. Whooshing Crocodile was astonished. The vastness of the celestial realm was astonishing, but it was still somewhat vague. However, the 2 points that the spiritual energy in the celestial realm is immortal spiritual energy that far surpasses spiritual energy, and the space in the celestial realm is incomparably sturdy were very clear, and they couldn't help but be shocked. Cultivating in an environment where immortal spiritual energy intertwines, even a cultivation idiot can achieve great success. No wonder some ancient books in the starry sky said that in the celestial realm, cultivators at the level of true immortals are nothing. They are everywhere. It ground its teeth. It could be said that the creatures born in the celestial realm really had a unique advantage on the path of cultivation. Lin Tian was also surprised, but he quickly regained his composure. After all, the celestial realm was a legendary world that was higher and more vast than the starry sky. If ordinary spiritual energy was floating in here, and if the space in here was as fragile as the space in the ordinary stars in the starry sky and could be easily shattered, then it would be somewhat unreasonable. He paused for a moment and opened some other ancient books about the celestial realm. Whooshing Crocodile and Little Taichu followed him to read. They had a deeper understanding of this vast world, and then they learned more. This legendary world of the celestial realm could be said to be a place where thousands of clans stood in great numbers, billions of bloodlines coexisted, and countless sects and clans gathered in this celestial realm, performing an unparalleled grand occasion. Cultivators at the level of true immortals were really nothing in this celestial realm, and there were countless of them. At the same time, They also learned that their group was now in an area called Peaceful Province in the Celestial Realm, and this Peaceful Province was a very inconspicuous province among the countless provinces in the Celestial Realm. There were tens of thousands of sects and clans in the province, and forces like the Dew family were completely nothing in this peaceful province. Previously, an old guy from the Dew family said that their third son was cultivating in some Primal Chaos Treasure sect, and that he was an elder of the Primal Chaos Treasure sect. That Primal Chaos Treasure sect, what level is it among the many forces in this peaceful province? Whooshing Crocodile asked. Lin Tian flipped to the back, and then quickly had a general understanding. Among the tens of thousands of sects and clans in this peaceful province, the Primal Chaos Treasure sect strength was enough to be ranked in the top 10. It was unusually powerful. The weakest disciple in this sect was at the Eternal Realm, and the elders were all golden immortal experts. In other words, the third son of the Dew family is at the golden immortal level. Whooshing Crocodile clicked his tongue and said, "We killed the Dew family master and several other true immortals of the Dew family. Du Qingzhou will also be dead, and we took away all the accumulation of the Dew family. When the third son of the Dew family knows about it, he will definitely deal with us. This is a pattern of making a golden immortal enemy. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. It's no big deal. Those who deserve to be killed should be killed. Even if there is an emperor god behind them, they will still be killed. Lin Tiandao, Grandpa Crocodile likes your strong appearance." Whooshing Crocodile chuckled. One man and two beasts walked in the attic where the Dew family stored ancient scriptures. They read more ancient scriptures about the immortal realm, focusing on various things about the peaceful province. After all, they were now in the peaceful province. At the same time, they also learned another point. That was, in this immortal realm, people who were less than 1,000 years old were considered the younger generation. Whether in the starry sky or the immortal realm, little Taichu and I are the younger generation. Lin Tian looked at Whooshing Crocodile. Whether in the starry sky or the immortal realm, you are considered an old man. I have to admit that you are old. You are old. Little Taichu looked at Whooshing Crocodile, echoed Lin Tian's words, and blinked his big eyes. F***CK, you two bastards. Whooshing Crocodile immediately cursed. Lin Tian laughed loudly as he walked through many places in this pavilion. After that, he collected all the ancient books in this pavilion. There were many powerful divine abilities and secret arts within these ancient books, and when put together, they could be considered as a shocking treasure trove. "Let's go," he said. Now, in this Dew family manner, they had put away all the valuable things. There was no need to leave them. He called out to Whooshing Crocodile, and little Taichu walked out of the center of the Dew family and walked out of the Dew family manor. Soon, they were far away. Ah! A shrill scream reverberated in the Dew family's manor. In front of them, Du Qingzhou was lying on the ground, imprisoned by the divine light, unable to move. His body was covered in blood, and more than half of his body was in tatters, exposing his bones. Nearby, many people of the Dew family were watching. Everyone's face was pale, and no one came forward to help. First, they did not dare to because they knew that it was Lin Tian who imprisoned Du Qingzhou here. Lin Tian was still in the Dew family manor, and they were afraid of angering Lin Tian. With the divine power that Lin Tian had shown before, they were afraid that if they helped Du Qingzhou, it would cause them to be in trouble. Second, and most importantly, the power that Lin Tian used to imprison Du Qingzhou was mixed with the power of the ancestral immortal weapon battle spear. With the strength of these ordinary people of the Dew family, it was impossible for them to break free and help Du Qingzhou. At this time, these people saw Lin Tianyi and the others coming from the center of the Dew family manor, and they could not help but tremble. The scene of Lin Tian killing the Dew family head and the others was still echoing in their eyes. Ah! Du Qingzhou screamed shrilly. His body was covered in blood, and his flesh had been bitten to pieces. Most of his organs had been shattered. "You're screaming quite happily." Whooshing Crocodile sneered at Du Qingzhou's miserable appearance. Lin Tianlin glanced coldly at Du Qingzhou, then at the other members of the Dew family. Without saying anything, he called Whooshing Crocodile and Little Taichu and walked out of the Du family manor's gate. At this moment, Du Qingzhou was still alive, but he could no longer live. His soul had been severely damaged, and his life essence had begun to extinguish irreversibly. Even if a god-level powerhouse came, they would not be able to save him. He would continue to suffer endless pain and then slowly die. This process would last for more than 2 hours. Don't go, kill me. Kill me. Du Qingzhou looked at Lin Tian, screaming and begging Lin Tiansha to kill him. The pain was unbearable, and his whole body was trembling. Lin Tian's pace did not change, and he did not pay any attention to him. He called Whooshing Crocodile and Little Taichu, and they quickly walked out of the Du family manor. Ah! Du Qingzhou's shrill screams continued to come out of the Du family manor. Lin Tian and the others did not pay attention to him, and they flew into the sky, heading towards the Du family manor. After more than 2 hours, they were very far away from the Du family manor, and they entered a large mountain. Inside, the roars of beasts shook the sky. Let's find a secluded place and refine the immortal enlightenment grass. We'll condense the second strand of celestial core power. Lin Tian said. Chapter 1535. Inside the mountain, the beast's roars were startling. Lin Tian, 5 Elements Crocodile, and Little Taichu traveled among them. Soon after, they found a small cave. The space inside was about 3 meters tall and 20 square meters. Lin Tian waved his hand and took out all the 90 or so immortal enlightenment grass he had obtained from the Du family. He also took out some other treasures. With these treasures and the 90 or so immortal enlightenment grass, they would be able to condense their second celestial core power. Let's begin, he said. Whooshing Crocodile and Little Taichu nodded. Without hesitation, they immediately activated their respective ancient scriptures and began to refine the immortal enlightenment grass and treasures. Suddenly, Tao light involuntarily circled around their bodies. Moreover, it grew stronger at an extremely fast speed. Lin Tian paused for a moment. He activated the Heart Sutra of Sun and began to refine the immortal enlightenment grass and treasures. Buzz! Outside his body, the Tao light of the Thunder Immortal Way intertwined. As he refined the immortal enlightenment grass and treasures, the Tao light became thicker and thicker. The immortal enlightenment grass could not directly allow a half-step true immortal to condense new celestial core power. Instead, it contained many Tao fragments. It could very quickly help a half-step true immortal to comprehend the Tao and condense new celestial core power. As Lin Tian refined the immortal enlightenment grass and treasures, the Tao light of the Thunder Immortal Way outside his body became thicker and thicker. Then he spread out his divine thought. In the blink of an eye, he sensed the existence of the Thunder Immortal Way floating between heaven and earth. He immersed his divine thought into the Thunder Immortal Way between heaven and earth. After the initial comprehension, he began to understand this immortal way on a deeper level. Then, because he was refining the immortal enlightenment grass, his comprehension of this immortal way was astonishingly fast. In just 3 days, his understanding of the Thunder Immortal Way had deepened. At this time, he began to draw out the origin Tao seal of the Thunder Immortal Way again. This time, it was stronger than the previous one. He drew out the origin Tao seal of the Thunder Immortal Way and integrated it into his body. Then he combined it with the divine power in his body to condense it. Just like that, another 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. 3 days later, the second origin Tao mark of the Thunder Celestial Tao was refined by his divine power and turned into a second strand of celestial origin. This second strand was brighter than the first, and it floated next to his life essence. When the second strand of celestial origin energy was successfully condensed, there was a boom and a powerful force spread out from his body. Done. He muttered to himself as a faint light flashed across his eyes. After refining a few dozen stalks of immortal enlightenment grass and combining them with some other natural treasures, he successfully condensed his second strand of celestial core power in 6 days. His battle strength was slightly stronger, and his true immortal aura and the precepts of the immortal Tao had also become stronger. Of course, this kind of strength was only compared to when he condensed his first strand of celestial origin energy. Compared to a true immortal expert, his current true immortal aura and immortal Tao law aura were still weak like the light of a firefly. Boom! Boom! Beside them, 2 other powerful divine powers surged, carrying the aura of a true immortal and the laws of the immortal path. Whooshing Crocodile and Little Taichu condensed their second immortal essence at almost the same time. How refreshing! Whooshing Crocodile clicked its tongue. After condensing its second strand of celestial origin energy, it clearly felt that it was much stronger than before. Little Taichu blinked its big eyes. Faint 6-colored divine lights intertwined around its body, and its essence, energy, and spirit were also much stronger. Let's consolidate our realm first. Lin Tiandao. At that moment, the man and the 2 beasts once again circulated their respective ancient scriptures. 3 different kinds of divine lights were vast and mighty in this mountain cave. After a full day, the man and the 2 beasts stopped at the same time. Their current cultivation had been thoroughly consolidated. Lin Tiandao stood up and stretched his body, making a series of crackling sounds. The surface of his body was naturally intertwined with thunder and lightning arcs, and then they automatically concealed themselves. Whooshing Crocodile and Little Taichu flapped their wings, and the divine lights outside their bodies were quickly absorbed into their demon bodies. That's right, kid. How's the battle spear? Is it really like what the old pervert said, that it was sealed after only 1 use? Whooshing Crocodile asked Lin Tiandao at this time. Although it had heard from an old drunkard that there was a seal in the battle spear, and once it was used once, the seal would be opened, sealing the battle spear and turning it into an ordinary battle spear. Only when Lin Tiandao reached the Immortal King realm would he be able to break this seal. However, since Lin Tiandao had already used the battle spear once, it couldn't help but have a trace of expectation, hoping that the battle spear wasn't sealed. After all, that battle spear was really very tyrannical and terrifying. It's sealed. Lin Tiandao waved his hand and took out the battle spear. There was no light on the spear, and there was no trace of Immortal King realm aura or immortal Tao law. Apart from its hardness, there wasn't much difference between it and an ordinary battle spear. What a pity. If this battle spear wasn't sealed, we could completely dominate those below the Immortal King realm. Whooshing Crocodile was a little disappointed. There's nothing to pity. Relying on the power of external objects is only temporary. The most important thing is still to rely on oneself. Lin Tiandao said, and put away the battle spear again. Whooshing Crocodile rolled its eyes. Master Crocodile naturally knows. After saying that, it sighed again and said, "Speaking of which, your master is so perverted that he scared me to death. We have all kinds of fortuitous encounters along the way, harvesting all kinds of heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Our cultivation speed can be considered to have soared, but compared to your perverted master's cultivation speed, it's not worth mentioning. According to the strength that perverted master displayed before, a conservative estimate should be at the true God realm." It was just a wisp of divine thought, but it was able to seize the flawless ancestral immortal artifact of the terrifying black-robed old man and force him to destroy half of his soul to escape. Such strength made Whooshing Crocodile feel a chill down its spine. The old man is called a heaven's pride for a reason. Lin Tiandao, a heaven's pride, Whooshing Crocodile sighed. That old perverted master really perfectly interprets the meaning of the word heaven. Very powerful. Next to him, Little Taichu also couldn't help but let out a childish voice. Inside the cave, the space was a little dim. Lin Tiandao paused, then called Whooshing Crocodile and Little Taichu out of the cave. Walking out of the cave, they walked in the mountains of this place. All kinds of ancient trees grew very thick and abundant. It was even more amazing than the ancient forest in the immortal realm at the beginning. All kinds of ferocious beasts roared inside, and the sound waves resounded through the sky. Boom! The ground suddenly shook, and a tyrannical, demonic power surged out. Not far away, dozens of brown-haired, ancient apes rushed over. Their eyes were dark red, and their demonic power was surging. Their aura fluctuated, and the weakest one was comparable to the experts in the starry sky who condensed 5 strands of immortal core power. The strongest one was comparable to a powerful existence who condensed 8 strands of immortal core power. Its demonic power was terrifying. The immortal realm is really full of tyrannical creatures. Compared to the immortal realm, the starry sky is simply too weak. Whooshing Crocodile sighed with emotion. Among the group of 8 monsters that rushed over, the weakest one was comparable to a powerful cultivator who condensed 5 strands of immortal core power. This was really shocking, and this place was an ancient forest in the most remote Tranquility province of the immortal realm. Lin Tiandao also felt the same, but he didn't say much. His expression was calm as he watched the dozens of 8 monsters rush over. Rumble! The dozens of 8 monsters were about 10 feet tall, and they moved in a group. As they rushed over, the ground shook loudly, and sand and smoke splashed up. Let's do it! Let's test our combat power after condensing the second strand of immortal core power. Lin Tiandao said. Whooshing Crocodile nodded. Lord Crocodile has the same intention. Little Taichu cried out in a childish voice, agreeing with this very much. Let's go! Lin Tiandao. The man and the 2 beasts immediately moved, directly fighting with the dozens of ferocious apes that rushed over. For a time, the demonic light and divine light intertwined. In this place, the surrounding ancient trees were shaken off one by one. The void was still very stable, and there was no trace of ripples. Boom! 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 The dozens of 8 monsters were very powerful, and they knew how to attack together. The majestic demonic power surged towards the man and the 2 beasts again and again. However, Lin Tiandao, Whooshing Crocodile, and Little Taichu were not ordinary cultivators. Their combat power was already very strong. Now that they had condensed the second strand of immortal core power, they had become even stronger, especially Lin Tiandao. He was truly invincible among the half-step true immortals. With just the simple strength of his physique, he blasted away everything. In the blink of an eye, he defeated all the powerful 8 monsters. Most of the 8 monsters fled in fear, and a few were killed on the spot, their corpses lying on the ground. Little Taichu stared at the corpses of the 8 monsters, blinked, and then looked at Lin Tiandao, his eyes flashing. Lin Tiandao smiled. Yes, I understand. In the past, he had roasted a few spirit beasts in his spare time. The little guy was very happy at that time, squeaking continuously. Now, the little guy looked at the corpses of the 8 monsters, and then looked at him with his sparkling eyes. It was obvious that he wanted him to roast some meat. Immediately, he dragged one of the 8 monsters' corpses away. Soon after, he lit up a bonfire in a relatively safe and quiet place and roasted the 8 monsters' flesh. The flames burned on the ape meat, making sizzling sounds from time to time. Drops of hot oil slowly slid down the lines of the golden ape meat that had been roasted. When they touched the flames, they made even louder sizzling sounds. In the blink of an eye, a crispy aroma filled the air. Little Taichu looked at the golden ape meat that had been roasted. His big eyes flashed, and he almost drooled. Lin Tiandao smiled again. You can move now. He cut off a part of the roasted ape meat and gave it to Little Taichu. Then he cut off a piece for himself and Whooshing Crocodile. After the ape meat was roasted, it was crispy and tempting. Little Taichu's big eyes curved into a pair of small crescent moons. He bit the ape meat that Lin Tiandao had roasted with a happy expression. To be honest, the taste is really not bad. Whooshing Crocodile clicked his tongue and said, Of course it's not bad. After all, I roasted it. Lin Tiandao smiled and said. As he spoke, his expression suddenly changed. He looked forward, and a hint of surprise flashed across his eyes. Chapter 1536. Lin Tian was a little moved by the sudden appearance of the purple-clothed girl. Even with his current cultivation, he didn't know when this girl had stood in that position. At the same time, the whooshing crocodile and the little Taichu also noticed the purple-clothed girl. This girl, when did she arrive? The whooshing crocodile was also moved. Just like Lin Tianyi, he also revealed a look of astonishment. The purple-clothed girl was very beautiful. Her figure was graceful, and she looked otherworldly. She stood a few feet away and stared straight at the golden ape meat that had already been roasted over the bonfire. She didn't even blink, and her eyes were full of light. Lin Tian. This expression was exactly the same as the little Taichu's when he wanted to eat roasted meat. He paused and asked the girl, "Do you want to eat some?" "Yes." As soon as he finished speaking, the girl nodded vigorously. It looked like she was waiting for him to ask this question. Lin Tian blushed with shame again. He then gave a piece of ape meat to the girl. The girl's clothes and temperament were extraordinary, but she wasn't particular about it. She directly took the meat with her hands, opened her mouth, and took a bite. Soon after, she made sounds. Like the little Taichu, she narrowed her eyes and looked happy. Soon, the ape meat that Lin Tian gave her was completely devoured by her. "You made it? That's amazing." She looked at Lin Tian, her big eyes sparkling. Her hands and the corners of her mouth were glistening with golden oil. As she spoke, her eyes fell on the roasted ape meat over the bonfire. It was obvious that she wanted to eat more. Lin Tian couldn't help but want to laugh. This girl and the little Taichu could compete. "If you want to eat, help yourself. No need to be polite," he said. He had roasted an entire monster ape, so there was a lot of it. "Yes, yes." The girl nodded repeatedly. She really didn't hold back. With a whoosh, a small dagger appeared in her hand. She cut off a piece of roasted ape meat and made sounds again. Lin Tian. The bonfire burned in this place, and sizzling sounds continuously rang out as it burned on the ape meat. The young girl swallowed 9 large pieces of roasted meat in a row and was finally completely satisfied. The expression on her face became even more blissful. This little girl can really eat. Whooshing crocodile stared at the 9 pieces of ape meat. Each piece was the size of a bowl. The girl wasn't embarrassed at all. "It's my first time eating this kind of thing. It's very novel and fragrant." She was not surprised that Whooshing crocodile could speak because he was a cultivator, and his cultivation was not weak. "Thank you, you did a good job." She looked at Lin Tian and said, "Then my name is in Shui, and as in safety and water as in rain. Father said that when I was born, it was raining heavily and there was water everywhere, so I named myself Shui. Lin Tian and Whooshing crocodile. He's so casual. He's definitely his father. Lin Tian wanted to laugh a little. However, the name and Shui wasn't bad. It was quite pleasant to hear. And Shui didn't quite understand Lin Tian's words, but she didn't care too much. She asked Lin Tiandao, "Oh, this place isn't far from the Purple Shao Treasure Sect. Are you guys also preparing to join the Purple Shao Treasure Sect?" "You're going to the Purple Shao Treasure Sect?" Lin Tiandao. He had read about the Purple Shao Treasure Sect in the ancient books collected by the Du family. It was a very powerful sect in the Taining province, not weaker than the Hunjin Treasure Sect. Together with the Hunjin Treasure Sect, Xian Ji Treasure Sect, Blazing Flame Treasure Sect, Red Cloud Treasure Sect, Dark Ink Treasure Sect, Crimson Treasure Sect, Golden Feather Treasure Sect, Blazing Flame Treasure Sect, Red Cloud Treasure Sect, Dark Ink Treasure Sect, Crimson Treasure Sect, Golden Feather Treasure Sect, Blazing Wind Treasure Sect, and Peaceful Immortal Treasure Sect. They were known as the top 10 sects of the Taining province. They were the top 10 forces in the province, with many disciples and a long history. Yes, the Purple Shao Treasure Sect isn't weak. Most importantly, this branch, together with the Hunjin Treasure Sect, Xianji Treasure Sect, Blazing Flame Treasure Sect, Red Cloud Treasure Sect, Dark Ink Treasure Sect, Crimson Treasure Sect, Golden Feather Treasure Sect, Blazing Wind Treasure Sect, and Peaceful Immortal Treasure Sect, they jointly control a mystical ancient land in the Taining province. The ancient land opens once every 10 years and lasts for about 6 months. Only the disciples of the top 10 sects are qualified to enter. There are many treasures and opportunities. Most importantly, it is said that there is a mysterious dragon armor, which is said to be forged from the skin of a true dragon. And Shui said, "The mysterious dragon armor is forged from the skin of a true dragon?" Lin Tianyi was shocked. Wuxing Crocodile and Little Taichu were also shocked. Over the years, with the continuous improvement of their cultivation, they had read many ancient books from the more powerful worlds in the starry sky. They gradually learned a lot. Back then, some of the ancient books in the 10-direction sky domain recorded that the true dragon was an unparalleled saint spirit of the chaotic emperor realm. In fact, that wasn't the case at all. A true dragon was at least above the true god realm, overlooking the heavens and earth and reigning supreme over all beasts. It was also because of this that the true dragon blood in the black dragon's body didn't awaken after he entered the heavenly master realm. He couldn't transform into a true dragon because he was still too far away from the true level of a true dragon. Now, Wuxing Crocodile and Little Taichu were shocked to hear that there was a mysterious dragon armor forged from the skin of a true dragon in an ancient land in the Taining Prefecture. An armor forged from the skin of a true dragon. If that was the case, then the mysterious dragon armor was definitely invaluable. It was countless times more powerful than the immortal king grade spear that he had. "Is there really such a rumor?" he asked in Shui. And Shui was slightly stunned by his words. "Yes, there is. Don't many people in the immortal realm know about this? You don't know about it?" She looked at Lin Tian, feeling a bit astonished. "I don't know. I have always been cultivating in the deep mountains. I only came out with 2 partners recently." Lin Tian casually found an excuse. Wuxing Crocodile and Little Taichu had just entered the immortal realm from the starry sky. Although they knew a lot of basic information about the immortal realm, they didn't know about some specific things. Naturally, they didn't know anything about the mysterious dragon armor. "You've been cultivating in the deep mountains until now. You're so hardworking. Don't you feel bored?" And Shui muttered. Then she continued, "This rumor has been around since ancient times, and it's true. The mysterious dragon armor does exist in the ancient land. However, no one has ever found it. Many big shots have entered the ancient land to search for it, but in the end, no one succeeded." Lin Tian was slightly shocked. Was the mysterious dragon armor so difficult to find? It was clearly in a fixed area, but from ancient times until now, no one had ever found it. At the side, the 5 Elements alligator and Little Taichu were also a little shocked. And Shui, I'll ask you one more time. Does the mysterious dragon armor forged from the skin of a true dragon really exist in the ancient land? Wuxing Crocodile asked. "It does exist. It's just that it's very difficult to find." And Shui nodded. This made Lin Tian, Wuxing Crocodile, and Little Taichu even more surprised. "You went to the Purple Shao Treasure Sect to enter the treasure land through the Purple Shao Treasure Sect to find the mysterious dragon armor?" Lin Tian asked. "I did go to the Purple Shao Treasure Sect to enter the ancient land through the Purple Shao Treasure Sect, but not to find the mysterious dragon armor. That thing is too difficult to find. Since ancient times, so many big shots couldn't find it. I don't think I can find it." And Shui was very generous. She didn't hide anything and said, "I want to go there to find a kind of rare immortal lotus. It's very difficult to find it in other places, but it's said that the ancient land has that kind of immortal lotus." "You know how to refine medicine?" Lin Tian was quite curious. "I don't know how to do it, but my great-grandfather knows how to do it. The old man has been very interested in alchemy these years. Not long ago, he obtained the recipe for an unusual pill. The core ingredient is the immortal lotus, but we don't have it at home, and it's hard to get it anywhere else. That's why the old man put the recipe aside for now. Now, the Purple Shao Treasure Sect is recruiting disciples, and the ancient land will open in a few months, so I came here. I must find that kind of immortal lotus in the ancient land and send it back to the old man as a gift. The old man will be very happy." And Shui said. Lin Tian heard this and couldn't help but smile. "You're quite filial. Of all virtues, filial piety is the most important. Moreover, my grandfather loves me very much. and Shui said. Then, she asked Lin Tiandao again, "Are you going to the Purple Shao treasure sect?" "I didn't have this idea before, but now I can go and take a look. I'll try to find the mysterious dragon armor in the ancient land." Lin Tian said, not hiding anything. He was telling the truth. He did want to go to the ancient land in the peaceful province to look for the mysterious dragon armor. After all, that armor was made of true dragon skin, and its defensive power was unparalleled. If he could find it, the benefits would naturally be great. It would be easier for him to pass through the heavenly tribulation in the future. Moreover, he, Wuxing Crocodile, and Little Taichu had just entered the immortal realm. It was a very good choice to choose to enter a sect to cultivate at this early stage. That thing, some Immortal King level experts entered the ancient land, but they couldn't find it. "You're really ambitious." And Shui rolled his eyes. "This is called being ambitious," Lin Tian said with a smile. Yes, you're really ambitious." And Shui rolled his eyes again. And then he was quite happy. "Then let's go together. I just came out from home alone, and I don't know anyone outside." "Okay, let's go together." Lin Tiandao. Not long after, he and Shui, Wuxing Crocodile, and Little Taichu left the place where they roasted the ape meat and went in a fixed direction, heading towards the Purple Shao treasure sect. Their speed wasn't slow, and the Violet Carefree treasure sect wasn't too far away from where they were before. Just like that, they flew through the air, and after roughly 3 days, they arrived before a vast group of celestial mountains. As far as the eye could see, the celestial mountains were filled with dense, immortal spiritual qi. Majestic palaces stood horizontally, and floating islands were everywhere. There was also a waterfall hanging upside down in the distance, intertwined with a faint rainbow light, and celestial birds flying by. We've arrived at the Purple Shao treasure sect. Chapter 1537. Lin Tian looked at the immortal mountains in front of him. Each immortal mountain was very tall and was surrounded by white clouds. It was very extraordinary. As for the Purple Merciless Treasure Sect, which was located in the middle of the celestial mountains, its palaces and floating islands were even more impressive. Compared to it, some of the top forces on the ancient Tonghung star were like dust. As expected of a sect in the immortal domain, Lin Tian's eyes flickered. This Violet Carefree treasure sect was merely a major force in the most remote peaceful province of the immortal realm. It couldn't be compared to the sects in some of the more powerful provinces, but it was actually so extraordinary. It really made it difficult for him not to be surprised. Yes, the scale is very grand, Wuxing Crocodile said. Little Taichu blinked and nodded his little head, showing a look of agreement. "Let's go in," and Shui said. Lin Tian nodded and walked into the immortal mountains with Shui, Wuxing Crocodile, and Little Taichu. Soon, they arrived in front of the main gate of the Purple Ease treasure sect. There was a vast and flat area in front of the main gate of this branch. There were many immortal herbs and exotic flowers growing here. At this time, there were many cultivators gathered here. Each of them had extremely strong blood qi, and the weakest among them was at the Eternal Realm. "Are these people all here to join the Purple Ease treasure sect?" he asked in Shui. "That should be the case. After all, these few days just so happen to be the day that Purple Shao treasure sect is recruiting disciples. At this time, these people have gathered here in such an orderly manner. Clearly, they are here to join Purple Shao treasure sect." And Shui said. At this time, dozens of old men flew out of the Purple Ease treasure sect with a swishing sound. Each of them had a strong blood qi. One of them glanced at the cultivators in the area. With a wave of his hand, light flashed and dozens of stone stairs appeared. Each of them had a total of 99 stairs, and they were covered with black and white array runes and Dao runes. "What is this?" Lin Tian asked in Shui, and Shui stared at him. "You don't even know about this?" "I don't know." Lin Tian was telling the truth, and Shui rolled his eyes and explained. "This thing is called the Immortal Ascension Ladder. It is forged from a special kind of strange stone, together with strange array patterns and Dao patterns. It is used to sense the strength of a cultivator's source of potential. Only those who are above the eternal realm can climb up the ladder. The more runes one has on the ladder, the stronger the source of potential of the cultivator. Since ancient times, whether it is the big sects or small forces in the immortal domain, they have all used the immortal ascension ladder to select their disciples. She continued, to be more specific, those above the eternal realm who climb the immortal ascension stairs will be able to reach the true immortal realm in the future. Those above the 30th step will be able to reach the golden immortal realm in the future. Those above the 50th step will be able to reach the mystic immortal realm in the future. Those above the 70th step will be able to reach the heavenly immortal realm in the future. Those above the 90th step will be able to reach the immortal king realm in the future. Those above the 99th step will be able to reach the divine realm and above. Lin Tian nodded and said, "Oh, I understand. You rascal. Why are you always hiding in the mountains to cultivate? You don't even know such basic things." And Shui rolled his eyes again. Lin Tian smiled and didn't say anything. At this time, the old man who had raised the immortal ascension stairs spoke again. He glanced at the crowd of cultivators and said, "To join my sect, you must first go through a test. As for the rules, I'm sure all of you already knew about them before you came. That is, those who climb the immortal ascension stairs over the 30th step will be able to join the Purple Harmony Treasure sect to cultivate." As soon as these words were spoken, the crowd of cultivators became very calm. Obviously, it was as the expert from the Purple Shao Treasure sect had said. Before these cultivators came here, they already knew the rules of the Purple Shao Treasure sect's assessment. After all, this was not the first time the Purple Shao Treasure sect was recruiting disciples. Moreover, the requirements for recruiting disciples were the same for the past generations. Only those who were able to climb more than 30 steps above the immortal ascension stage would be able to become a disciple of the Purple Shao Treasure sect and enter to cultivate. At this time, these people stared at the immortal ascension stairs. Most of them slightly clenched their fists, waiting to ascend. "Okay, let the test begin," the old man from the Purple Harmony Treasure sect announced. At that moment, all the cultivators in the area rushed towards the immortal ascension stairs. Lin Tian and Shui, Wuxing Crocodile, and Little Taichu had arrived a little later and were at the back of the queue. At this time, they saw hundreds of thousands of people taking the test. However, in the end, among these hundreds of thousands of people, only a little more than 1,000 managed to climb the 30th step. Moreover, they only barely managed to climb the 30th step. Over there, someone has climbed the 50th step. This is true. Climbing the 50th step of the immortal ascension stairs. That means that he will become a Xian immortal in the future. Exclamations of shock could be heard all around. The crowd of cultivators was shocked as they looked at one of the immortal ascension stairs. At the top of the stairs, there was a young man in yellow robes. At this time, he had reached the 51st step. Even the dozens of old men from the Purple Harmony Treasure sect couldn't help but be shocked. Climbing the 50th step of the immortal ascension stairs would allow one to reach the Xian immortal realm. However, in the Purple Harmony Treasure sect, the strongest person was only at the early stage of the Xian immortal realm. On the immortal ascension stairs, the young man in yellow robes reached the 51st step. His forehead was covered in sweat as he continued climbing with difficulty. Finally, when he reached the 53rd step, he couldn't take it anymore and retreated. He reached the 53rd step of the immortal ascension stairs. This is the future Xian immortal. So strong. If I can climb the 50th step of the immortal ascension stairs, that would be great. In the future, I can also become a Xian immortal. Many people stared straight at the young man in yellow robes. Hearing this, the young man in yellow robes revealed a proud expression as he walked toward the designated area. That area was tens of thousands of square meters. It was the area where the Purple Harmony Treasure sect's cultivators who had passed the test would stand. At this moment, there were about 1,000 cultivators standing there. They were the group of cultivators who had reached the 30th step of the immortal ascension stairs. "Brother, you're really amazing. Yeah, You actually reach the 53rd step. You can become a Xian immortal in the future. Congratulations! Seeing the young man in yellow robes walk over, many people in the area greeted him warmly. The young man in yellow robes walked into the area with an arrogant expression on his face. He glanced at the 1,000 cultivators in the area and then walked to a spot far away from them. He crossed his arms and ignored everyone. This caused the expressions of the 1,000 over-cultivators to stiffen, especially those who had spoken to the yellow-robed young man warmly. Their expressions turned ugly, while many others revealed looks of displeasure. From this scene, they could tell that the yellow-robed young man did not care to speak to them, nor did he care to stand with them. This was because they had only barely crossed the 30th step of the Immortal Ascension Stairs, while the yellow-robed young man had crossed the 50th step of the Immortal Ascension Stairs. He's really arrogant. Whooshing Crocodile clicked his tongue. Lin Tian glanced at the area and smiled faintly. He didn't say anything, and Shui glanced at the young man in yellow robes and curled his lips. You're narrow-minded and self-righteous. You're just a Xian immortal. What's the big deal? It's just that Taining Prefecture is small and remote, and there aren't many outstanding people. Many people think that becoming a Xian immortal is already invincible, but in reality, it's nothing. Xian immortals can be found everywhere outside of Taining Prefecture. Moreover, this is only the test of origin potential. Although he can become a Xian immortal in the future, how long will that be? What if it's tens of millions of years later? It's not something to be proud of. Next batch, come forward and take the test. A shout sounded. Batch after batch of cultivators came forward. Soon, it was Lin Tian and Shui, Whooshing Crocodile, and Little Taichu's turn. 2 people and 2 beasts stepped forward and stepped onto the same Immortal Ascension Stairs. Lin Tian, Whooshing Crocodile, and Little Taichu stepped onto the 35th step. They looked at each other and stepped back at the same time. At this height, they didn't feel any pressure at all. They could continue climbing, but they were too lazy to do so. After all, stepping onto the 30th step was considered to have passed the test. There was no need to continue climbing. They walked to the area designated by the Purple Shao Treasure Sect for those who had passed the test and looked at the Immortal Ascension Stairs. And Shui was still climbing. When he reached the 49th step, he stopped and began to step back. This lass isn't simple at all. She didn't even use the slightest bit of effort when she reached the 49th step. After that, it's obvious that she's like us. She intentionally didn't continue climbing. If she had continued, not to mention the 50th step, even the 70th step, or even the 90th step wouldn't have been difficult for her. Whooshing Crocodile narrowed its eyes and said in a voice that only Lin Tian, Little Taichu, and Lin Tian could hear. Lin Tian nodded silently. Naturally, he also saw this. In this area, many of the other cultivators also saw the scene of and Shui stepped onto the 49th step and then stepped back. Many of them couldn't help but shake their heads. What a pity. She was only 1 step away from reaching the 50th step. She's only 1 step away from becoming a Xian immortal. Someone sighed, and Shui stepped down from the Immortal Ascension Stairs and went straight to Lin Tian, Whooshing Crocodile, and Little Taichu. I passed. Congratulations, congratulations, Lin Tian said with a smile. Congratulations to all of you too. However, from the beginning, I believed that all of you would pass the test. Of course, I also believed that I would pass. And Shui said with a smile. At this time, they were standing in a special area designated by the Purple Shao Treasure Sect for those who had passed the test. They stood together with the other thousands of people who had passed the test, chatting and laughing. It's only the 30th and 40th steps, and you're already so happy. How short-sighted. A discordant voice came from afar. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.